What Punchbowl News is saying this morning. It says inside the caucus, Senate Dems hold the line despite no exit strategy. It says the Senate is scheduled to vote today on Senator Ron Johnson's of Wisconsin, that's a Republican, bill to pay accepted federal employees who've been forced to work without pay during the shutdown. Democrats are likely to filibuster the measure, believing it gives President Donald Trump and OMB Director Russ Vought too much authority over who to pay or not to pay. It says that's a tough vote for Senate Democrats. The Democrats' plan is to offer two bills of their own today from Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland and Gary Peters of Michigan, both Democrats. The Van Hollen's bill would pay all federal employees throughout the shutdown and bar any more layoffs by OMB. Peters' narrower proposal would pay all federal employees up through the day the bill is enacted. And we'll take your calls now. William in Ohio, Independent Line. Good morning, William.
Good morning. How are you today, Mimi?
Good.
Well, I got a few things to say. Number one, I blame this shutdown on Donald Shorty Johnson Trump because it is all his fault. And Mikey Little Johnson's going to do whatever he tells him to do because, number one, they don't want to open the Epstein files. And number two, he can run ragged like a drunk sailor with America's money during this whole time. And I just got a feeling that they're going to shut it down as long as they can till they can just take the whole country over. And, you know, Donald Trump is to blame of this shutdown because of his dictatorial ways. And we got to get rid of that man. Thank you very much.
Raymond in California, line for Democrats.
Some have asked about safety, or you maybe ask me if I'll let you give me some questions. Safety is paramount for us. And so if we don't have the staffing levels in a tower, TRACON, or center, you will see us delay traffic. You will see us cancel flights. Because I want you to get to where you're going. I want America to get to their destination and get there safely. And it's not moving as many flights as possible. It's moving as many flights as possible safely. That is our mission. That is our number one goal. And if we can't do that, you'll see the flights come down. You will see the delays and you'll see the cancellations. One other problem that I want to address that we're seeing now in the shutdown, you've seen that we don't have enough air traffic controllers. We're 2,000 or 3,000 air traffic controllers short. And so what I've done is I've developed a plan to supercharge air traffic controllers into our system. The president said, bring in the best and the brightest, young men and women to work in this space, which is what we've done. We've shortened the timeline from testing to get into to our facility where we train our air traffic controllers in Oklahoma City. Shorten the timeline, get the best and the brightest. The highest test scores come in first. And that's what we've done. It's going to be a multi-year process to make up the shortfall that we have in the system. But I'm getting word now from Oklahoma City where I have young air traffic controller students who are now telling me, what the hell am I doing? Why am I going to take this job? They're thinking about leaving the academy, smart young men and women, because they don't want to work for a system that won't pay them, that doesn't guarantee them a paycheck. And their paychecks are at risk. We pay those controllers as they go through the academy. We don't pay them a lot of money either. They rely on that. And when that money doesn't come, it creates not just disruptions for when Democrats in the Senate decide to forego the crazy left and actually fight for America. That's problems that ricochet in the months, in the years to come. And I think it's important that we tell that story because if we don't, I think that you can give the Democrats a pass. We have to talk about the real consequences of what this shutdown does, talk about who we're fighting for, and why this matters to, again, open up your government. Open it up. It's easy. And then sit down and negotiate. Have a conversation. But to allow the radical element in the Senate to hold America hostage, I think would be shameful. That's not how we operate. We don't negotiate when that is the structure set by Democrats. So I'm all in favor of making sure this funding comes. Let's open it up. Let's have a great conversation. Let's figure out where we go forward. And I think that would be the most common sense approach. But I'll just tell you this. I want to reiterate, we are all about safety. And we will make sure we work every day on that part of our job. But again, I can't guarantee you that your flight's going to be on time. I can't guarantee you that your flight's not going to be canceled. It's going to depend on our air traffic controllers coming in to work every single day. And again, my message to them is, one, thank you for coming and working. We appreciate that. Come to work, even if you don't get a paycheck. We need you to come to work. But if they do not, we'll know whose fault it is. And I just want to say, as I introduce Sam Graves, Sam has been a champion in the airspace. The industry loves him. No one has done more to drive this reform of how we build a brand new air traffic control system, thinking it through, driving it through the Congress, making the sales pitch than Sam Graves. And I couldn't be more grateful for his friendship and partnership. And so I think Sam is going to go right now. And I appreciate the leadership team here as well. Even guys from Minnesota are okay too. So.
The other day from a doctor out in Colorado who called me up because I had talked to him because he'd give some good care, and I just picked up the phone one day in the airport and called him and said, hey, I heard about what you did, and he began to talk. Well, he checked me out, which is I'm glad he did. He said, I saw you on Sean Ryan podcast. I saw you on these others. He said, I believe in what you're talking about. He said, I want to talk to you about how I can help my patients. So I had a good conversation with him, and he was able to give us some stuff that is going to help us with patients. That's what this is all about. That's why we do what we do. And so as we continue on to look at this functionality in VHA, I'm very proud of VHA. Now, how does that affect the rest? Well, in VBA, we're all mostly on furlough. That means our disability payments are still being made. Please don't worry about your disability benefits. And we're all processing them, but I'm having them processed by people who are not getting paid. This is not right. It shouldn't happen. We need to fix that.
Here's Robert, Waldorf, Maryland, Independent Line. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning, ma'am. I think the one thing that this has proven with the government being shut down, that all the government employees that have been furloughed are basically of no use to the federal government. My life hasn't changed. I'm not worse off for it. Life goes on. Everything's great out here. You know, the lights are on and everything's working. So it goes to prove beyond any shadow of a doubt that the government is bloated. It's got too many people in it. This shows where the cut can be made. If you're not essential and you are not on the job right now, you should be permanently laid off, and you can cut the budget massively by doing this. It proves it beyond a doubt. Now, secondly, I'd like to point out, everybody's talking about how the electric rates are going up. Well, that is going up because of the Democrats. In the state of Maryland, we have closed 3 power plants, Dickerson, Chalk Point, and Morgantown. They are closed down. This has cut down the megawatts on the JPM. That's where your electricity comes to you people. This has cut that down. They're not producing electricity. So this is why electricity is more valuable now and costs you more. The Democrats put in all these different environmental things so that they couldn't, we can't burn coal, we can't do this. But if you look at the reason why in the state of Maryland, or even New Jersey or Virginia, the reason your electric rates have gone up, they've shut down the power plants. So don't let them sit here and complain about the power and how the rates of electricity have gone up. They're the ones that caused all that. And, the second thing with this government shutdown, the only thing that I have noticed, Mimi, is the damn golf courses are just full of bureaucrats now. You can't get a morning tea time. Have a good day, America.
Here's Matt in Mart, Texas, on the line for Republicans. Good morning, Matt.
Yes, ma'am. Well, first I'd like to say, Mimi, a few calls ago, you were right. The troops did get paid. Donald Trump realigned some money. I think it's research and development, and he paid the troops. And he's going to bust his tail to keep the troops paid and keep the government open. But they've had, 12 but you were right a while ago. The troops did get paid the 15th. And the woman was just sitting there. She's in the Democrat Party. She's, in my opinion, there ain't no Democrat Party. It's not like it was with the great Harry Truman and JFK, the good Democrats. They've done turned into communists. That's what they are. And but they done had 12 or 13 votes, and every time the Democrats vote to keep the government shut down, every single time. And they're going to have another vote probably today, and the Democrats will vote again, communists, to keep the government shut down and not pay the troops. Now, I don't know how many times Donald Trump, he diverted money, from research and development and paid them this last time. I don't know how many times he can keep doing that. Eventually he'll, I don't know. I guess he can keep doing it as much as he can and fight for the troops. And but God bless him. He's doing a great job. If there was an election today, he'd win by even more than he did November the 5th.
Got it, Matt. And this is USA Today. If you recall, Democrat Jeff Merkley, the senator from Oregon, it says that he broke state record with a 22-hour Senate speech to protest Trump. It says that the Democrat held the floor for over 22 hours, a new record for the longest floor speech given by an Oregon senator. However, he did not surpass the record of his colleague, Senator Cory Booker. That was 24 hours and 18 minutes. That was 25 hours that broke the previous record. And here is a portion of his concluding remarks from yesterday.
And we have to recognize that the next election is absolutely critical if we're going to save our republic, because the strategy of an authoritarian is to rig the elections. And the more time they have, the more entrenched it becomes. And already, here is Trump trying to do a national voter registration file that can be more easily manipulated for the elections next year. Here is President Trump trying to do massive gerrymandering in a whole bunch of states in order to offset the balance between Democrats and Republicans that are fairly represented in the House of Representatives. Here is President Trump saying he'll do everything possible to stop the use of vote by mail across the country, because we know why. Because vote by mail has such integrity. It can't be manipulated on election day like precincts can. In precincts, you can move their location. You can put them where there's no parking. You can understaff them. The machines can break down. You can send intimidators. You can proceed to put out fake information about their location. You can put out information the election was last week when it's really this coming Tuesday. Can't do that with vote by mail. And when we have the majority, we must pass the For the People Freedom to Vote bill and lock down the integrity of our elections, so we will not worry for a generation about the people having a fair voice in our government by and for the people. I'm proud to be colleagues with all of you in this effort. Thank you very much, and I yield the floor.
That was Senator Jeff Merkley yesterday of Oregon, a Democrat. We are in open forum now. Welcome back to Washington Journal. It's open forum. We'll go straight to your calls. And this is Joanne in Perry, Georgia, Democrat. Hi, Joanne.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. I just have 2 points and then a suggestion. Not only immigrants get free care at hospitals, it is also for disadvantaged white and black people. Stopping pay of congressmen won't hurt them because they are wealthy from lobbyists and the stock market. My suggestion is that to take a break in the shutdown is for Americans to stop shopping for anything but gas, groceries, and medication. That will put pressure on corporations, Trump, and the Republicans to open the government and work out a solution. I hope someone will organize this. Thank you.
Here's Tony in Sugar Land, Texas, Independent. You're on the air.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. First of all, for all the veterans out there, active duty people and first responders, thank you for your service.
Tomorrow night at 11 p.m., the president will depart the White House to fly to Malaysia, where he will arrive on Sunday morning local time. It's a long flight. President Trump will participate in a bilateral meeting with the Prime Minister of Malaysia in the afternoon, and then he will attend the ASEAN Leaders Working Dinner that evening. On Monday morning local time, the president will fly to Tokyo. Tuesday morning local time, President Trump will participate in a bilateral meeting with the new Prime Minister of Japan. On Wednesday morning local time, the president will fly to Busan, where he will participate in a bilateral meeting with the President of the Republic of Korea, deliver keynote remarks at the APEC CEO luncheon, and then participate in a U.S. APEC Leaders Working Dinner. On Thursday morning local time, President Trump will participate in a bilateral meeting with President Xi of the People's Republic of China before departing to return home to Washington, D.C. On Thursday night, upon arrival in Washington, President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump will participate in Halloween at the White House, where they will welcome law enforcement, military, and foster families. And I know many of us look forward to that. In other news, we are now on day 23 of the Democrat government shutdown. Senate Democrats have voted 12 separate times now to keep the government closed. Innocent Americans are suffering every day as a result. More than 500,000 civilian federal employees will miss a full paycheck tomorrow. Thousands of small business loans are going unapproved each month. This means almost $4 billion in capital is being withheld from small businesses across the country. The Democrat shutdown is also causing severe impacts at airports across the country. In one single day this week, the FAA had to issue ground stops impacting flights at Houston's George Bush Intercontinental Airport and Hobby Airport. 13,000 air traffic controllers who ensure that we all fly safely are continuing to work without pay. This is egregious and truly sad. Some of them are reportedly being forced to turn to driving for Uber and taking on other second jobs to make ends meet as the Democrats continue to shut down the government. Pilots are calling on Democrats to end this dangerous political game. The president of the Southwest Airlines Pilot Association called for the clean continuing resolution to be passed, saying, quote, "Our air traffic controllers and the broader air traffic system are already operating under immense pressure. A government shutdown only compounds that stress and threatens the efficiency of our skies." The Airline Pilots Association International, which represents more than 80,000 pilots, is sounding the alarm as well. They said this shutdown is undermining our system's safety. Resources are stretched thin, negotiations are delayed, and strain grows daily. With the Thanksgiving holiday approaching, we are nearing the busiest travel period of the entire year, when millions of Americans will go to airports to spend time with their loved ones. Let us be very clear from the White House today. If the Democrats continue to keep the government closed, we fear there will be significant flight delays, disruptions, and cancellations in major airports across the country this holiday season. If Democrats continue to shut down the government, they will also be shutting down American air travel. The White House is in constant communication with the air traffic controllers, with the airline associations, and with them, we urge Democrats to please pass the continuing resolution so we can just end this madness and this chaos and reopen the government. These are very avoidable consequences. The unnecessary pain, unfortunately, does not end there. Funding for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program known as SNAP, which provides food benefits to low-income families, is beginning to lapse this week in some states. If Democrats continue to hold Americans hostage, there will not be enough funds to provide SNAP benefits for more than 40 million Americans on November 1st. That is next week. Democrats are solely responsible for all of this unnecessary pain. Why are they doing it? To give taxpayer-funded health care benefits to illegal aliens, some of whom are violent criminals. During the 4 years of Joe Biden's administration, the Democrats forced Border Patrol to admit illegal aliens into our country with no legal status and minimal screening. A significant number of these individuals are the worst of the worst criminals: rapists, pedophiles, murderers, and even members of the terrorist watch list. Despite having no legal status, paroled aliens were able to file for work authorization, receive Social Security numbers, and access other benefits like Medicaid that are meant for Americans. Since I've found many in this room to repeatedly deny the reality that Democrats gave Medicaid benefits to illegals, and they continue to seek to do just that, I've brought a few verified examples for you today. These are examples of some of the illegals who received Medicaid benefits under President Biden's leadership, and this is what Democrats are wanting to do. This is why they are continuing to keep the government closed. An illegal alien from Laos was arrested for murder, robbery, and felony possession of a firearm. An illegal alien from Guatemala who was arrested for rape and burglary. An illegal alien from El Salvador who was arrested for strangulation, DUI, and burglary. An illegal alien from Mexico who was arrested for attempted murder. The Democrats' open border policies allowed these threats into our country, and then they provided them with free health care. The president and Republicans, through the One Big Beautiful Bill, implemented a common sense reform to end this fraudulent scheme. But that's why the Democrats are continuing to shut down the federal government. They are trying to reverse this and restore taxpayer-funded health care for illegal aliens like these. Throughout this shutdown, Democrats have said this quiet part out loud. Senator Chuck Schumer, the leader of the caucus that is refusing to open the government, said, quote, "Every day gets better as the shutdown continues." Ask the air traffic controllers if every day is getting better, Senator Schumer, and they will tell you absolutely not. House Democrat Catherine Clark said, "There are going to be families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility seriously, but this is one of the few leverage points that we have." Here is a House Democrat who is admitting that they are using Americans who are suffering as political leverage. And Senator Bernie Sanders said, "If you reopen the government, we lose our leverage." This is pure partisan games. A senior Democrat aide said the party will not end the shutdown, quote, short of planes falling out of the sky. That is truly a disturbing statement. The Democrats clearly don't care about this suffering. They care about playing political games against President Trump, and this dangerous charade needs to end. The president, in Republicans' position, has been clear and unchanged. Pass a clean, nonpartisan funding bill to reopen the government. And then we can talk about all of the partisan issues that the Democrats wish to. If you're watching at home, we urge you to call your Democrat senators and tell them to put our country over their party and reopen the government today. Here in our new media seat, we have Brittany Gibson of Axios. Brittany, why don't you start us off for our Q&A today? Thank you for being here.
Two questions, if I may, Caroline. First is, we understand that the president and Republicans will not negotiate on ACA extensions until the government reopens. If and when that happens, what does the president think should be, or what are his plans for preventing rising healthcare costs for Americans?
It's a very good question, and I'll leave that to the president to negotiate that when Democrats vote to reopen the government. When it comes to lowering healthcare costs, the president is deeply committed to this. It's why he has spent so much time and effort negotiating with Big Pharma to lower the healthcare costs of prescription drugs. All of you have been in the Oval Office for multiple different announcements. We've had these most favored nations deals with these large pharmaceutical companies committing to lowering drug costs in this country. So it's something the president wants to do. And Brittany, one more point. I'll just point out the irony in Democrats holding the government and the American public hostage over a healthcare system that they created. The healthcare system was called Obamacare. Why? Because Democrats and President Obama implemented. And Republicans have always said it's a broken system, yes, but they caused it, and now they want to shut down the government to fix it. We need to open the government, and then we can have these very important conversations about healthcare.
And the second, on H-1Bs and foreign students, during the campaign, President Trump said he wanted to make it easier for foreign students to work at U.S. companies, staple a green card to every diploma. But the changes from several agencies now on H-1Bs are adding more obstacles to that. The administration is being sued over those changes. Can you explain the changes in the president's thinking on H-1Bs?
The administration will fight these lawsuits in court. The president's main priority has always been to put American workers first and also to strengthen our visa system. We know for far too long the H-1B visa system has been spammed with fraud, basically, and that's driven down American wages. So the president wants to refine this system, which is part of the reason he implemented these new policies. These actions are lawful, they are necessary, and we'll continue to fight this battle in court. Garrett.
Two questions on different topics, if you'll
Sure.
indulge me. On the pardon of Changpeng Zhao, and apologies if I'm mispronouncing that name, Binance has significant business interests with World Liberty Financial, the president's family's crypto company. How do you respond to the allegations from Democrats that this is a corrupt act?
I would respond and say the president is exercising his constitutional authority to grant clemency requests. And the president and the White House have a very thorough examination of every pardon request that comes to the president's desk. It is thoroughly reviewed by the White House Counsel Office, and I spoke with our great White House counsel about the pardon after it happened. This was an overly prosecuted case by the Biden administration. Even the judge in the case admitted that the Biden administration was pursuing a egregious over-sentencing of this individual, and the previous administration was very hostile to the cryptocurrency industry. So the president wants to correct this overreach of the Biden administration's misjustice, and he exercised his constitutional authority to do so. And to the Democrats, I would just say there's nothing more corrupt than what President Biden did on his way out the door, pardoning his extremely corrupt son and many of his associates.
On the ballroom, the first of which will probably be several questions about this today, I imagine.
Is it a big story?
It seems that way. The president's cost estimate has changed several times. I think it's up to $300 million now. Given the nature of all this, will the White House commit to releasing all of the donors and how much they're spending and how much of his own money the president is putting on the line to this?
We have released the full list of donors thus far. Perhaps there will be more people who want to generously contribute to this project. And the president, yes, has committed his own resources. And when he releases that information, which I'm very confident he will, you will all see that.
We'll see a dollar figure from the president?
Yes,
Okay.
he will. And I would also just add the president has been incredibly transparent. I would reject any notion otherwise when it comes to this ballroom project. It's something he personally has obviously taken an interest into and has talked with all of you in this room many times about. You have seen the model in the Oval Office. Last night he showed that for you, but was presented. And when these renderings, as soon as they were complete, the president directed me to come out here and to share them with all of you. I did an entire opening remarks about what this ballroom project was going to look like. With any construction project, there are changes over time as you assess what the project is going to look like, and we'll continue to keep you apprised of all of those changes, but just trust the process. This is going to be a magnificent addition to the White House for many years to come, and it's not costing the taxpayers anything. The president is privately funding this ballroom addition to the White House grounds. Jennifer.
To follow up on that, one thing that's not in the president's model is the East Wing bunker, the president's emergency operations center. Can you say if his update, that $300 million, does that include the cost for upgrading that bunker?
Look, like any security enhancements that are made on the White House grounds, those will be made and maintained by United States Secret Service. As for the cost of the ballroom and the construction itself, all of that is going to be, like I've said, privately funded and paid for by the president himself and many generous patriots who have stepped up.
Included in that funding?
Correct.
Okay, and then can you say, well, that's right, I'll skip that one.
Thanks, Ouija. Okay.
So the White House has explained that the reason you didn't submit construction plans to the NCPC is because that commission, along with others, don't have oversight over demolitions, but only over construction. And so far, you haven't built anything. So can you help us understand, can the president tear down anything he wants without oversight? Could he demolish this building or, say, the Jefferson Memorial?
So it's not the president who came up with that legal opinion himself. That's a legal opinion that's been held by the NCPC for many years. It's written, so we can get you that background and that research if you wish to include it in your reporting, because it is very important. They have ruled consistently, their general counsel has said, when it comes to phase one of this project, the tearing down of the current East Wing structure, a submission is not required legally for that. Only for vertical construction will a submission be required, and that's a legal opinion from them, and we are following that legal opinion. And again, I would just add, can any president do such a thing to the White House grounds? There have been many presidents in the past who have made their mark on this beautiful White House complex. This briefing room, as you all know, was not once a briefing room. It was a swimming pool. There have been presidents who have completely torn down the executive mansion. If you look at what President Truman did, some of the photos of the construction project that took place in those years, I think sitting here today, we're all grateful for those efforts and the modifications that happened at that time. And again, in due time, the East Wing is going to be more beautiful and modern than ever before. And in addition, there will be a big, beautiful ballroom that can hold big parties and state visits for generations to come.
So it sounds like the answer is yes, he can tear down whatever he wants. And then secondly, I mean,
that's not what we're saying. That's a legal opinion that's been held for many years. And
interpreting it.
No, it's something that presidents have done for years and years. In fact, I have some photos here. Thank you, Pat, to show you the construction that's taken place on the White House grounds. This is the construction of the West Wing in 1902. Look at this, the construction of the West Terrace in 1902. These images look quite similar to what you and the American people are seeing today, the construction of the East Terrace as well. You look at the construction of the West Wing expansion in 1934. So look, this is a legal opinion that's been held for many years. Look at, this is 1950. It looks a lot like what you were seeing today.
Can he demolish anything he wants?
What do you think that
oversight?
rubble is? How did that rubble get there?
Right, so I'm asking, and then back to the donors.
Go ahead, Reagan.
Many of them are.
Two questions.
Reagan, go ahead.
One on immigration and another on Venezuela. It's being reported that the semi-truck driver suspected of killing 3 people in a DUI crash is an illegal immigrant who came in under the Biden administration. Do you know if California gave him a commercial driver's license? And then it also appears that California largely has not been cooperating with English proficiency standards. I'm wondering if the administration has any further plans to punish the state.
Yes, I can confirm that California gave this individual a license. And it is something that the Department of Transportation has already looked into. I know Secretary Duffy, who's doing a phenomenal job, has spoken on this many times in the crackdown that the Department of Transportation is taking on these licenses that are wrongfully being issued to people who clearly do not deserve these positions. As for this case in California, on October 22nd, ICE lodged an immigration detainer for this individual following his arrest by local authorities in California on charges, as you know, of manslaughter while intoxicated and driving under the influence. He killed 3 people, and he first entered the United States in 2022 through the southern border, and he was released into our country by the previous administration. So now ICE has lodged a separate detainer for this individual, and these tragedies are following a disturbing pattern of these criminal illegal aliens being issued commercial vehicle licenses. And so yes, the Department of Transportation is absolutely cracking down on that. I defer you to them for any specifics.
Venezuela, President Trump has said Maduro doesn't want to mess with the United States, and this administration is continuing to position more military assets towards Venezuela. I'm wondering if the end goal of this narco-terrorist war is to implement a regime change in Venezuela.
The president has spoken on that, Reagan, and I certainly won't get ahead of him. What we've made very clear is that this administration is not going to tolerate international narco-terrorist organizations from trafficking drugs into the United States. And these cartels over time have grown more armed, well-organized, and violent. They have financial means, sophistication, and capabilities needed to operate in the way this administration has. And they have illegally caused the deaths of tens of thousands of American citizens each year. So that's where we are right now with respect to Venezuela, but also any country that is sending purposefully illegal narco-terrorists to the United States of America to bring illegal drugs. Why don't we go in the back?
The U.S. and Colombia relationship right now is at one of its lowest points in decades. We heard what President Gustavo Petro had to say about President Trump. We heard yesterday the response from President Trump. Is there any kind of compromises or gestures from the Colombian president that President Trump would like to see in order to de-escalate the tensions? Is it possible a de-escalation?
I don't think we're seeing de-escalation from the unhinged leader of Colombia right now, and I don't think the president, frankly, is interested in that at this point. He spoke on this yesterday, and I don't have anything to add to his comments. Go ahead. Yes.
Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you.
In addition to the ballroom and the Rose Garden
I'm going
patio,
into the back. Sorry. Go ahead.
in addition to the ballroom and the Rose Garden patio, is the president looking at any other renovations or significant kind of projects here at the White House?
Not to my knowledge, no. But he's a builder at heart, clearly. And so his heart and his mind is always churning about how to improve things here on the White House grounds. But at this moment in time, of course, the ballroom is really the president's main priority. Kristen.
Last week, President Trump announced that he had a productive call with Vladimir Putin. They scheduled a meeting in Hungary. Since then, he has canceled the meeting and he has imposed sanctions on Russian oil companies. Can you talk about what changed that led to this dramatic shift, or even just what occurred in the last week that got us from point A to point B?
Sure. Look, the president has always maintained that he would implement sanctions on Russia when he felt it was appropriate and necessary. And yesterday was that day. I think the president has also long expressed his frustration with Vladimir Putin and, frankly, both sides of this war. And he's always said in order to negotiate a good peace deal, both sides need to be interested in a good peace deal. And he feels as though, unfortunately, from the Russian side as of late, he has not seen enough interest and enough action in terms of moving the ball forward towards peace. And so a meeting between these two leaders is not completely off the table. I think the president and the entire administration hopes that one day that can happen again, but we want to make sure that there's a tangible, positive outcome out of that meeting, and that it's a good use of the president's time. Of course, he's traveling to Asia next week. He has a number of events coming up here on the home front as well. He's been incredibly busy, as you all know. You're all tired from covering him and his movements every day, and so we want to make sure it's a good use of the president's time, and the president doesn't want to waste his time, and he said that.
All between the Secretary of State and Lavrov that led President Trump to believe that President Putin or the Russians did not want a peace deal.
That was not the sole reason, no. I think the Secretary Rubio felt that was actually a productive call. But again, the president wants to make sure that a meeting between himself and President Putin will be a good use of his time.
What exactly led to President Trump not believing, after his call on Thursday, where he said he did think he wanted peace and wanted a peace deal, to believing that Russians were not?
Again, the president wants to see action, not just talk. And I think the president is extremely motivated by the success of his peace deal in the Middle East to get things done. And he wants this war to come to an end. He's been saying it now for 9 months being in office, and he's grown increasingly frustrated with the lack of progress from both sides of this war. Mary.
For example, two quick construction questions if I can. You mentioned any construction project comes with changes. The president had initially said that this project wouldn't interfere with or touch the current structure. Now he says to do this properly, he realized that the East Wing had to be demolished. This is the people's house. Why not inform the public of that change and when it was decided that the East Wing would have to be demolished?
Look, again, with any construction project, changes come, and we have informed all of you. We've been keeping you apprised of this project. We've shown you the renderings, and if you look at the renderings, it's very clear the East Wing was going to be modernized. Instead, in fact, I said that in the briefing when we initially introduced this plan to all of you and to the public. The East, well, again, the plans changed when the president heard counsel from the architects and the construction companies who said that in order for this East Wing to be modern and beautiful for many, many years to come, for it to be a truly strong and stable structure, this phase one that we're now in was necessary. And the president wants to do right by the people's house. And so that's exactly what he's doing. It's going to be, again, like I said, much more stable, strong, secure, and more beautiful than ever once it's complete.
And the First Lady's offices, where will those be? The First Lady's offices, the Social Secretary's office?
In the East.
They will be back where they were?
Yes.
Perfect.
Thank you. Cattle ranchers who supported the president's election have raised some concerns about plans to import beef from Argentina. How will the Trump administration support those farmers?
Look, the president hears those concerns. He addressed them yesterday himself. President loves our ranchers, and our ranchers love our president. And in fact, the president did a lot for them in his first term here. They are struggling because of the many horrible policies of the previous administration. President loves our ranchers, and he also loves American consumers, and he wants to do right by both. So the immediate solution to the problem of the rising cost of beef, president wants to bring that down as we have to increase our supply. And so that's what he's doing with respect to these imports. But the president also is looking out for our ranchers with a long-term plan that was released by the Secretary of Agriculture yesterday. It's a 3-part plan. It's very extensive and detailed. I would encourage all of you to read through it. But there's really 3 points to this plan that the president has agreed upon and has entrusted Secretary Rollins to implement. Number 1, strengthening U.S. cattle production through increased grazing access, endangered species reforms, enhanced disaster relief, increased access to capital, and reducing costs for new and young ranchers. We want to incentivize more Americans to get into this noble profession. Lowering long-term costs by cutting inspection costs, increasing market options for consumers with product of USA labeling, and ensuring consumers know that they are eating American beef. It's a good incentive for the American consumer. And lastly, growing the domestic herd while boosting long-term demand to reduce prices for consumers while growing the markets for our ranchers. So President hears them. He has to address both of these problems for the ranchers, but also for the American consumer. He promised to lower costs, and that's what he's committed to doing.
Caroline, thank you. 2 questions not on the ballroom. The first is, there's a Democrat in Texas who's actually running for Congress who said last night during an interview when talking about fighting Republicans and this administration, quote, "If you hit me in my face, I'm not going to punch you back in your face. I'm going to go across your neck." This has obviously really upset those folks over at Turning Point USA after the Charlie Kirk assassination. Just your response to that kind of rhetoric?
Just very jarring rhetoric, and I think it's very unacceptable. I hope the people of Texas will do the right thing and reject this person's candidacy. It should have no place in American politics.
And then just a quick second question on oversight Democrats that are saying that they're creating this master ICE tracker, basically tracking all ICE activity. We've seen the protests in New York just yesterday. Homeland Security is saying that this sounds like obstruction of justice. What do you say?
Again, this is actively putting the lives of our ICE agents at risk. We've seen media outlets, in fact, in this room, also write stories about ICE tracker apps that Democrats and other left-wing activists have created to track the location of ICE agents on the ground in our communities. Again, I've said this repeatedly, and I will continue to say it. The men and women of ICE are outstanding people. I wish a Democrat on Capitol Hill would actually have the courage or the guts to stand up to their party and sit down with some of these men and women who are doing this incredibly difficult job of enforcing our federal immigration laws. They are, again, simply trying to enforce the law and do their jobs. And if Democrats spent a little bit more time understanding that and also focusing on the people who they are trying to get out of our country every single day. As I spoke about about earlier. 3 innocent people in California are dead because an illegal alien who Democrats let into this country was wrongfully issued a trucker's driving license and clearly was not fit for the job because he was driving intoxicated and killed 3 innocent people. Democrats should focus a little bit more on that. Stop trying to fight this president and this administration on every turn and restore law and order. That's all that we and these brave men and women of ICE are trying to do. Mary.
Thanks, Caroline. I have 2 questions, one on San Francisco and one on the No Kings protesters. On San Francisco, the president said that he had a call with the mayor and he was planning on surging there, but now because the mayor really wants to fix it up himself, they're going to do that. Is this what Trump hopes happens in pretty much every city?
The president hopes, and I've said this so many times, and I think the president's conversation with the San Francisco mayor last night and his statement today prove the president is willing to work with anyone across the aisle, across the country, to do the right thing and clean up America's cities. He is genuinely interested in this effort to make our streets safer, to make our cities safe and clean again. And he heard from the mayor last night who told him that he is going to earnestly try to make his city better on his own. The president heard him out. He said, okay, I'll give you a chance. We'll be watching, and if you need us, we are here. And if I feel as though you continue to fail your citizens, the federal government may have to step in. But we'll continue to watch San Francisco, and that law enforcement operation has now been paused.
Thank you. And then on the No Kings protesters, I saw videos of people explicitly calling for violence against Stephen Miller, against the president, shirts saying we don't have enough assassins, calling for more political violence. Does the president want to see arrests here, and are we going to see arrests of these types of explicit calls to violence?
I would think myself, the president, and everyone here at the White House certainly hopes that anyone who is making violent and illegal threats in that way against public officials will be arrested and prosecuted.
Sure.
Thank you. 2 questions. Would the president support the Senate ending the legislative filibuster to end the shutdown?
This is something I haven't heard the president talk about much, so I don't want to speak on him for it. I'll let him answer that question himself.
And do you have an update on the NASA administrator nominee? Do you plan to nominate anyone soon? Or does the president nominate anyone
I don't
soon?
think so. Sorry. I'll leave that to the president himself. He'll make a decision in due time, and when he does, you will hear directly from him, as you always do. Back, we'll give our friends in the back a chance. Yes.
As you mentioned at the top of the briefing, USDA has warned that it will run out of funds to pay full SNAP benefits next month if the shutdown continues. Senator Hawley is floating a bill that would ensure SNAP benefits are continued to pay during the shutdown. Would the president support such a move? And you also announced that the administration was using tariff revenue to keep WIC going during the shutdown. How long will that last? And is anything similar being considered for SNAP?
Yes, the administration would absolutely support that legislation. We hope that it would come over the finish line, but the bill that will get everyone paid and put everyone back to work is the clean continuing resolution. That's what the president and Republicans want to see. Ed, go ahead, Ed.
Thanks, Carolyn. On the Russian sanctions again, how much pressure do you think this sanctioning these 2 Russian companies actually puts on President Putin? Because the last administration sanctioned 2 other oil companies. So how much economic pressure is this really?
A lot. If you read the sanctions and look at them, they're pretty hefty. And I saw some international news out of China this morning that they're scaling back oil purchases from Russia. We know India has done the same at the request of the president. The president has also pushed European countries, our allies, to please stop their purchases of Russian oil as well. So it's full court press for sure, and we expect that these sanctions are going to do harm, as the Secretary of Treasury said yesterday.
Could there be more? Is this just the first step, or could there be more sanctions?
I'll leave that to the president to decide. Sure.
Or heard the NBA gambling, involved in the gambling issue there. Does the president gamble? What does he think about that?
You know, I'm not sure. I don't think he does. I've been with him quite some time, and I have not seen him gamble before. I don't think he's a big gambler, but you can ask him yourself for next time you have a chance to, Ed. Go ahead.
Thank you, Carolyn. I've got 2
Hi,
quick
Jake,
questions.
and then we'll go to you. Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
2 quick questions. Back to the ballroom. It is a very spectacular ballroom, according
Thank
to the
you.
renderings. And if it's half as nice as the one in Mar-a-Lago, then future presidents are really going to appreciate it.
They will. Thank you, Jake.
First of all, is there like an official name? Like, are we calling it the Trump Ballroom, or does the president have a vision for what the name for the ballroom is going to be?
There will be an official name. I will let the president announce that once he firmly decides on it.
My second Question is, looking at these renderings, and it kind of got me thinking, he's likely going to go down as the greatest builder of this era, and you've been in on a lot of those meetings with him. Has, to your knowledge, has the subject of rebuilding the Holy Temple in Jerusalem come up?
It has not. No, it has not. I don't. I'm sorry, Jake. Go ahead.
Caroline, on the CC pardon, could this clear the way for Binance to resume U.S. operations?
I won't get ahead of that. That's something for Treasury or the Departments of Commerce to comment on, so you're welcome to ask them.
And then one follow-up question. Any more details on the president's Walter Reed visit? The readout from his doctor mentioned advanced imaging. What procedure was he referring to?
Advanced imaging is something that presidents receive and people receive when they go to the doctor, and so we provide a detailed readout of that physical, and I would encourage you back to that. Presidents and I don't know the exact imaging that took place, but as the physician's note said, the president is in incredibly good shape, and I think that's evidenced here every single day. Danny.
Caroline. Back to the ballroom, I'm afraid. I just wanted to ask, because in July, the White House said that it would cost $200 million. Yesterday, the president said $300 million. It's $300 million, and why did it go up by so much?
$300 million is the figure, and again, it's not going to cost the taxpayers a dime. So we look forward to this project continuing, and we will continue to keep everyone apprised on it. Perhaps the president will even bring you all out to see it one day at the appropriate time. You're also going to hear from the president directly in about an hour. He's hosting an event with the Homeland Security Task Force. This was a newly created federal task force that the president and his law enforcement team have put together. I would encourage you all to tune in to the remarks. They have really done a tremendous job at refocusing how federal law enforcement and local law enforcement work together. There will be some local sheriffs and law enforcement officials in attendance as well, and they'll be talking about the success and the many arrests they have made of drug traffickers and cartel members all across the country by just simply working together. So we will see you at the event. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Caroline.
Healthcare crisis here in America. And what is Donald Trump doing as we stare into the abyss of the healthcare crisis? He's flying off yet again to another corner of the world while people's premiums are set to skyrocket here at home. He shut down the government, Trump has, for 23 days, the second longest shutdown ever, by refusing to negotiate with Democrats. He's bulldozing the East Wing of the White House to make way for his own ballroom. His own Justice Department is getting ready to cut himself a personal check to Donald Trump for $230 million out of taxpayer money when health people are suffering in terms of their health care premiums. And then he caught trying to push a nominee with proud Nazi and racist views. And again, we're in the middle of a health care crisis that will decimate tens of millions of Americans. But Donald Trump doesn't seem to want to touch the topic with a 10-foot pole, and has decided to fly off to another country yet again without negotiating with Democrats. Leader Jeffries and I asked him to sit down and talk with us. We said, we need to talk. He refused. Donald Trump would literally rather fly to another country than meet with Democrats to negotiate on health care because he knows the American people are on one side of the issue and his base, his right-wing MAGA base, is on the other. He's afraid to touch the issue. So he does his version of Johnson's shutting down the House. He flies away. It's hard to fathom someone more out of touch and oblivious to our nation's struggles than the current president. Let's take the ballroom, for instance. This is the image Donald Trump doesn't want America to see. This is the picture Donald Trump told his people to hide from the American people. And do you know what the picture represents? It's not just the desecration of the White House. It shows that Donald Trump is not focused on fixing health care, but rather on vanity projects like this one that don't do anything to benefit the American people. They only benefit Trump and his ego. Donald Trump is telling the American people, no Medicaid for you. The ballroom for me. Americans are appalled at these images. A YouGov poll this week found that 50% of Americans oppose this ballroom project, only 33% in support. To Americans, the image of Donald Trump adding a wrecking ball to the White House is a symbol for what he is doing to the whole country. Yes, this image Americans are seeing, and they don't like it. They don't like it. I asked my Republican colleagues, where are you? But frankly, the East Wing teardown is not the only thing Donald Trump is focused on instead of fixing health care. He is also using the presidency to enrich himself. This week we learned that Trump is pushing his own DOJ to write him a $230 million check because his feelings got hurt after being investigated for criminal wrongdoing. While Americans are agonizing over health care, Donald Trump is using the presidency to reach into the taxpayers' till and put money in his own pocket. Imagine the gall of this president who tells the American people, no health care for you, but you pay me an additional $230 million. Again, I ask my Republican colleagues, where are you? And again, I don't expect Republicans to oppose Donald Trump very often, but they should be outraged by the way he's pillaging the DOJ to enrich himself. And finally, Americans are all getting awfully fed up with the Trump administration's incompetence, corruption, and chaos. And the data shows it. A few days ago, a Gallup poll showed movement you rarely see among the electorate in a short amount of time. Democrats' party ID is now 7 points higher since the start of the year. 7 points higher. It was even with Republicans. Are you a Democrat or Republican? When Trump took office, it's now plus 7 Democrat. You rarely see that kind of movement for that kind of number so quickly. It should be an immediate red light warning to my Republican colleagues. To quote the pollster Harry Enton, who works for CNN, I was shocked to see how Democrats have gained on party ID per Gallup. Democrats lead by 7 points versus a tie at the start of the year. Looks a lot more like the 2018 cycle than 2022. Indeed, Democrats have gained House seats in all midterms since 1980, when party ID looks like what Gallup has. That's Harry Enton, not me. But you don't need a political genius to understand why these numbers are moving. People see what Donald Trump is making. People see that Donald Trump is making their lives worse on costs, on health care, and on their financial security. We spend so much time here in Washington focused on the day-to-day back and forth. But people back home don't care about the back and forth here in Washington. They care about how much they're paying for groceries.
Ms. Blunt-Rochester. Ms. Blunt-Rochester, no. Mr. Hawley. Mr. Hawley, aye.
Yeah, they're right behind her.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you. Good to see you.
I knew you were coming. I had to step back. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 23 of the Democrat shutdown. And today, you all know, we have a special guest with us. We're delighted to welcome back to Congress U.S. Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy. I enjoyed serving with him during my first few years here, and we're grateful he's serving our country in this very important position right now in these very challenging times. He's a very busy guy, but he'll give us a few minutes to give you an update here in just a moment. You'll hear directly from him about the very real and consequential ways that Americans are suffering right now because of the shutdown. I just wanted to give you a brief update, and then I'll turn it over to the Secretary. But by way of review, the reason that my colleagues and I have come in here every morning now during this painful Schumer shutdown is because we have to share the facts and we have to share the simple truth with the American people. And why is that? Because the Democrats are working overtime to try to hide those facts and to try to distract from the very simple truth here. They want you to forget that just 5 Senate Democrats could reopen the government today. All we need is 5 of them. They try to pretend that their counterproposal deal doesn't reinstate free health care for illegal aliens, $200 billion of taxpayer funds. They try to pretend that their counterproposal would not send billions of dollars in wasteful spending for social projects in foreign countries overseas. They don't want you to look at the facts. They don't want you to look at the paperwork that they themselves filed as the counterproposal. And they refuse to admit that this entire shutdown is one big political game to satisfy the radical Marxist base of their party. But that is exactly what is going on. And I want to be absolutely clear about this. Democrats would not have shut the government down this time if their political careers did not depend on it. And that is not some Republican talking point. That is the objective truth. If it wasn't already abundantly clear, the number 2 Democrat in the House yesterday openly admitted to that fact. Catherine Clark is the House Democrat whip. She works right under Hakeem Jeffries as the number 1 Democrat, and she was in an interview and she said to one of your colleagues sitting here on the front row, quote, "Of course there will be families that are going to suffer, but this is one of the few leverage times we have," unquote. It's shocking to hear them say that out loud. By her own admission, she knows that the American people are suffering. Democrats know that millions of federal workers are desperate for their paychecks. They know that thousands of flights have been delayed. They know that SNAP benefits and nutrition assistance for women, infants, and children are in jeopardy for millions of American families. And yet, they don't seem to care. But you know what? Take heart, America, take heart, because all your suffering is for a good cause. It's for the Democrats' political leverage. That's what the number 2 Democrat said here yesterday. It is utterly shameful. The obvious truth is that only a Democrat could get away with saying such abhorrent things without the media batting its eye. I guarantee you, if the tables were turned, if the Republicans were the ones holding the country hostage and openly admitting to it, it would be absolutely explosive. It would be wall-to-wall coverage, and everybody in this room knows that. Every single mainstream media outlet, every newspaper in America, every single day would have that on the top fold as the big headline. But of course, that's not what's happening right now. Coverage of all this has been sporadic and almost every time spun to try to somehow favor the Democrats who have put us in this mess. Democrats own this. They have said so themselves, and you just have to listen to their own words. Don't listen to us. Chuck Schumer himself said infamously, every day of the shutdown gets better for us, meaning the Democrats. And then you had the Democrat whip here say yesterday, openly admitted, they're holding the country hostage for their political leverage. They're perfectly fine with that. They're perfectly okay with real pain being felt by real Americans as long as it helps their political agenda as they see it, as long as they can force $1.5 trillion new dollars in spending on America and get illegal aliens back on health care funded by U.S. citizens. That's their counterproposal. And largely, so many in the media are turning a blind eye to that. Well, as I said earlier, we've stood up here every day and talked to you about some of the terribly harmful effects that the Democrat shutdown is causing on Americans. We talked about troops at risk of missing their next paycheck. The nutrition assistance for women, infants, and children is under threat. Now, SNAP benefits will not be sent to those who truly need it. But there's another very important group of federal employees that we want to highlight today because they also aren't getting paid, and the consequences are being felt around the country. Air traffic controllers, some people call the policemen of our skies, they have been showing up at work without pay. And news reports have suggested that these men and women are seeking outside employment just to keep their families afloat. Some of them are working these long shifts, in a car and driving Uber, or they're delivering for DoorDash. What a heavy thing that is. These men and women have one of the most stressful jobs in America. They cannot be 99.5% accurate or 99.9% accurate. They have to be 100% accurate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And now they're being forced to work longer hours, take on multiple jobs, and maintain the same level of excellence, again, all while Democrats hold their paychecks hostage. This is what one air traffic controller said in their own words in an article, quote, "The financial anxiety doesn't just hurt morale, it directly affects safety. When someone responsible for thousands of lives a day is worrying about whether they can pay rent or feed their kids, focus suffers. Controllers were already underwater with pay and staffing before the shutdown, and now we're drowning," unquote. As a reminder, and this is pretty ominous, but you remember the article a few days ago where the Democrats were quoted saying they won't reopen the government unless, quote, planes are falling out of the sky, unquote. We pray to God it doesn't come to that, obviously. But the longer the shutdown goes on, and as fewer air traffic controllers show up to work, the safety of the American people is thrown further into jeopardy. Now, I'm heartened that we have a leader like Secretary Duffy. He has an extraordinary team. We have extraordinary air traffic controllers in this country, and they are maintaining the safety against incredible odds. But right now, there are 13,000 air traffic controllers and more than 50,000 TSA officers who are showing up to work without pay. Our Secretary Duffy's doing a great job to triage this, but he noted that normally just 5% of flight delays are the result of staffing shortages. Right now, that number, at least 2 days ago, was 53%. According to online flight tracking databases, there were 19,000 delayed flights from Saturday to Monday, and an additional 1,600 canceled flights during that same period. That number is only going to increase as the Democrat shutdown continues, especially as air traffic controllers are set to miss another paycheck on October 28. We are rounding into a holiday season, as we all know, and we're in the middle of the height of the football season. This is peak travel time for the U.S. Hundreds of thousands of Americans are going to travel to football games this weekend, for example. And if the current trajectory continues, many Americans could miss watching their favorite teams and reconnecting with friends and family. So football fans, hey, if you're stuck in the airport this weekend while your favorite team is about to kick off, you can blame the Democrats for that, all right? They own this shutdown and they own the consequences too. So now here to share this firsthand perspective of some of the ways this shutdown is stretching thin American air travel and all of our air infrastructure is our extraordinary Secretary, Sean Duffy. And then after he speaks, you will hear from the chairman of Transportation and Infrastructure, our committee here in the House, our good friend Sam Grace. Mr. Secretary, thank you so much for your time. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First off, I want to thank the Republican leadership team and Republicans in the House for your votes to keep the government open, keep the government funded. Usually this is a House problem. It's in the Senate right now. The Senate can't find the votes to keep the government open, and it's Democrat votes. And I thought you made a really good point, Mr. Speaker, that I do think in the Democrat senators' hearts, they want to vote to open the government up. They don't want to hurt the American people. But we've seen they have a radical base, a base that's out of control. And if they vote to open up the government, what's going to happen is they are going to be primaried. They are going to be attacked. Maybe their funding might dry up. And so this shutdown is not about the American people, not about the pain that America experiences because of the shutdown. This is because Democrats are concerned about their own hide, and they've sold the country to the most radical element of their country. And I think that's really shameful. It's too bad. I also want to thank the Congress, led by Sam Graves. Many of you have seen what's happened with our air traffic control system. It's old, it's antiquated, it's safe, but it has to be massively rebuilt. We need a new system, and I want to thank the House for leading that effort. We've asked for $31.5 billion. We got a down payment of $12.5 billion to begin that really important work. Before the shutdown, we have crafted our teams in a way that can keep that work moving forward. It doesn't stop during the shutdown because, again, 6 months from now, you all won't care that Democrats shut the government down. You'll want to know what the results are and the progress of building this new system. So that is still operational. But I do want to talk about air traffic controllers for a moment because I think this is incredibly important. They're angry. I've gone to a number of different towers over the course of the last week to 10 days. They're frustrated. They're frustrated that the Congress is focused, at least in the Senate, on paying for health care benefits for illegals as opposed to paying their paychecks for the great work that they provide to the American people. That makes them angry. You've seen, as the Speaker mentioned, across the national airspace, we see there's certain centers or TRACONs or towers where we'll see a lower staffing. When we have lower staffing, what happens is you'll see delays or cancellations. But it's not one tower, it's not one TRACON, it's not one center, it's maybe one center one day, it's a TRACON another day. It's kind of moving throughout the national airspace, but it's causing disruptions. So a week ago, last Tuesday, air traffic controllers got 90% of their pay because that paycheck came from most of it for the work they did in September. So they got most of the money. Next Tuesday is the first paycheck that they will not receive for the work that they did in October. And to the Speaker's point, we have air traffic controllers who work more than 5 days a week. They work 6 days a week to make sure they can cover air travel throughout the country. And so if you have a controller that's working 6 days a week but has to think about how am I going to pay the mortgage, how am I going to make the car payment, how am I going to put food on my kid's table, they have to make choices. And the choices they're making is to take a second job. Well, I don't want air traffic controllers to take a second job. I want them to do one job. I don't want them delivering for DoorDash. I don't want them driving Uber. I want them coming to their facilities and controlling the airspace. But they're having to make decisions about how they spend their time to make sure they put food on their table, feed their kids, and support their family members. I want to make one other point really clear. Some have asked about safety, or you maybe ask me if I'll let you give me some questions. Safety is paramount for us. And so if we don't have the staffing levels in a tower, TRACON, or center, you will see us delay traffic. You will see us cancel flights. Because I want you to get to where you're going. I want America to get to their destination and get there safely. And it's not moving as many flights as possible. It's moving as many flights as possible safely. That is our mission. That is our #1 goal. And if we can't do that, you'll see the flights come down. You will see the delays and you'll see the cancellations. One other problem that I want to address that we're seeing now in the shutdown, you've seen that we don't have enough air traffic controllers. We're 2,000 or 3,000 air traffic controllers short. And so what I've done is I've developed a plan to supercharge air traffic controllers into our system. The president said, bring in the best and the brightest, young men and women to work in this space, which is what we've done. We've shortened the timeline from testing to get into to our facility where we train our air traffic controllers in Oklahoma City. Shorten the timeline, get the best and the brightest. The highest test scores come in first, and that's what we've done. It's going to be a multi-year process to make up the shortfall that we have in the system. But I'm getting word now from Oklahoma City, where I have young air traffic controller students who are now telling me, what the hell am I doing? Why am I going to take this job? They're thinking about leaving the academy, smart young men and women, because they don't want to work for a system that won't pay them, that doesn't guarantee them a paycheck. And their paychecks are at risk. We pay those controllers as they go through the academy. We don't pay them a lot of money either. They rely on that. And when that money doesn't come, it creates not just disruptions for when Democrats in the Senate decide to forego the crazy left and actually fight for America. That's problems that ricochet in the months and the years to come. And I think it's important that we tell that story because if we don't, I think that you can give the Democrats a pass. We have to talk about the real consequences of what this shutdown does, talk about who we're fighting for, and why this matters to, again, open up your government. Open it up. It's easy. And then sit down and negotiate. Have a conversation. But to allow the radical element in the Senate to hold America hostage, I think would be shameful. That's not how we operate. We don't negotiate when that is the structure set by Democrats. So I'm all in favor of making sure this funding comes. Let's open it up. Let's have a great conversation. Let's figure out where we go forward. And I think that would be the most common sense approach. But I'll just tell you this. I want to reiterate, we are all about safety. And we will make sure we work every day on that part of our job. But again, I can't guarantee you that your flight's going to be on time. I can't guarantee you that your flight's not going to be canceled. It's going to depend on our air traffic controllers coming in to work every single day. And again, my message to them is, one, thank you for coming and working. We appreciate that. Come to work. Even if you don't get a paycheck, we need you to come to work. But if they do not, we'll know whose fault it is. And I just want to say, as I introduce Sam Graves, Sam has been a champion in the airspace. The industry loves him. No one has done more to drive this reform of how we build a brand new air traffic control system, thinking it through, driving it through the Congress, making the sales pitch than Sam Graves. And I couldn't be more grateful for his friendship and partnership. And so I think Sam is going to go right now. And again, I appreciate the leadership team here as well. Even guys from Minnesota are okay too. So thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Secretary. As chairman of the Transportation Committee, I do want to point out what has already been pointed out, and that is our skies are safe. They are very safe for folks to travel and for folks to be able to get to where they need to go. And I do want to commend our air traffic controllers straight up because, and this just goes to show you just how steadfast they are. They're showing up for work, they're doing the job, and they're making sure that that our skies stay safe. I've got a number of good friends who are air traffic controllers, and they have expressed extreme frustration because of this situation. They're worried about getting paid. They're worried about, as was pointed out, meeting that mortgage and being able to make the car payment or whatever the payment is that they have to do or take care of their family. Something as simple as that. I do want to commend the Secretary and the President for filling all of the open seats at the Academy in Oklahoma City. They hit their quota of 2,000 new air traffic control students that are learning, and I want to commend them on increasing the pay for students going to the Academy. It's needed, and it's also needed to be able to attract the best and the brightest that are out there. As the Speaker pointed out, this is political gamesmanship on Senator Schumer's part, and it's unfortunate that he's weaponizing the air traffic controllers and he's weaponizing families as we go into the holiday season when it comes to those delays that will ultimately probably happen and the cancellations that are probably going to happen. And as the Secretary pointed out, we need to remember who it is that is causing this and why they are causing this. This is political games. All we need to do is pass the clean CR so we can move forward and then talk about these things that need to be talked about. So,
thank you.
Mr. Leader.
Thanks.
Thank you, Sam, and appreciate the job that our chairman of the Transportation Committee is doing. Really appreciate the job that our Secretary of Transportation, Secretary Duffy, has been doing, and especially want to thank those air traffic controllers who are showing up to work. Work that even in normal times is an incredibly stressful job. You know, as you can imagine, at any airport in America, but especially the busy ones, you might have dozens of flights coming in and out every single hour. And their job is to manage those flights so that everybody on those planes lands or takes off safely and gets to their destination safely. That's their job, that's their priority, it's their passion. And yet, when you add to that, again, in normal times, an incredibly stressful job, when you add to that the uncertainty of whether or not they're even going to get paid, while they still have the obligations of paying their house note, their rent, their car note, putting food on the table, adding that extra level of stress to an already stressful job is really straining the system. And so, as Secretary Duffy talked about, some have taken to get second jobs, jobs that take them away from their current job. It's led to flight delays. It's led to real hardships for American families. As we're approaching Easter, Thanksgiving in just a couple of weeks, you know, imagine you're planning your Thanksgiving vacation to go see your family somewhere else, maybe a kid returning from college to go see their family for the first time in a few months, and you don't know if the flight is going to be scheduled, if the flight's going to be on time, if you're going to be able to make it home. This is unnecessary, and people are starting more and more to ask the question, why is this going on? Why do Democrats continue to vote no, not on a bill that solves all of our differences, a bill that just keeps the government running, puts the food on the table of those air traffic controllers while we negotiate our differences. That's all we're talking about, a clean CR, a bill that just lets us keep the government running while we still negotiate the big differences we have. And more over the last few weeks, you've heard Democrat senators say it out loud while they're casting no vote after no vote after no vote. Hundreds of times, by the way. Over 600 times, Democrats in Washington have voted to shut the government down. Think about that. Over 600 times between the House vote, the Senate votes, as if it's just a repetition. All it takes is 5 Democrat senators to have the courage to say, let's just open the government back up again so we can negotiate our differences. But they're starting to say publicly what we've said out here, what they've been saying privately, is they're scared to death of their far left radical base. That's why the Democrats did it. It has nothing to do with policy differences. That's what we can negotiate when the government's open. And everybody knows that. And so why are they doing it? And here we go. And you heard the speaker talk about it. But you had the House Minority Whip. Quote, shutdowns are terrible, of course. There will be families that are going to suffer, but it is one of the few leverage times we have. Leverage. Yeah, sure, they're okay with people suffering, but boy, does it give them leverage. For what? To appease their radical base, to show their radical base they're fighting Donald Trump. So they've made the calculation it's okay to cause suffering to families. Schumer, of course, quote, every day gets better for us. Who's us? It sure isn't the American people. It sure isn't those air traffic controllers who are working 6 highly stressful days managing safely our air traffic control system while then they leave that job to go drive for Uber or for DoorDash. That's not a better day for them, but boy, Chuck Schumer's happy. Bernie Sanders, quote, you reopen the government and we lose our leverage. That's what this whole shutdown is about, close quote. That's Bernie. Leverage. You hear it over and over again. The American people, especially federal workers, are considered by Democrats to be leveraged, to be pawns in their game. Senator Coons, quote, The point of this shutdown is not just suffering for suffering's sake, but to make a point. What point? A point that you can cause suffering on other people so you can get leverage to go back home to Los Angeles or San Francisco or New York City and show the socialists, look at me, I've made Donald Trump, have to go and move some money around to figure out a way to pay federal employees. I'm creating chaos in Washington. That's what they want to do. That's their leverage, so they can get some pat on the back from socialists and Marxists who want chaos in America. It's disgraceful. And everybody knows it, but they don't care. They don't care because as long as they're appeasing the radical base, that's what their leverage is all about. The American people, to Democrats, are considered pawns for leverage to go and make the far left radical base look like they're fighting Donald Trump. And I'm going to finish with this. Air traffic controllers, again, as Secretary Duffy, as Chairman Graves have talked about. Right now, 13,000 air traffic controllers are working without pay. 13,000. Some of our air traffic controllers who work 6 days a week, or you've heard it, driving Uber, doing all these other things. Nick Daniels, the president of the Air Traffic Controllers Association, said, quote, "To think that somehow we can live with, you'll get paid eventually, that doesn't pay the controllers. That doesn't pay the mortgage. That doesn't pay gas. That doesn't pay the food bill." That's the burden. That's the burden, those 13,000 air traffic controllers whose job every day is to keep us safe when we fly on airplanes is. And why do they have that extra stress? Why do they have that extra burden? So that Senate Democrats can feel like they've got leverage over who, over what, to what end? This is madness. There is no end for them. They just think this is some kind of game, and the American people are pawns in that game. It's got to end. Our whip, Tom Emery.
Shutdowns are terrible. Of course, there will be families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility seriously. But it is one of the few leverage times we have. You've heard that 3 times now. A direct quote from the #2 Democrat in the House, Catherine Clark. Meanwhile, in Massachusetts, which is Catherine Clark's home state, 45,000 federal workers are being forced to figure out how they're going to pay their bills next week. More than 1 million SNAP enrollees and 123,000 women, infant, and children who require nutritional assistance, they're going to be impacted, Catherine. Telehealth services and a home hospital program have been put on pause. Tens of thousands of travelers who come through Massachusetts airports are at risk of experiencing flight cancellations and delays, as you heard from the Secretary this morning. Obviously, we can go on and on about the ways people in Whip Clark's home state and across the country are being forced to suffer because the Democrats refuse to reopen the government. But they don't care, because to them, suffering is leverage. To them, this is one big political game. It doesn't matter that millions of Americans are hurting because, as Chuck Schumer says, every day gets better for us. What a disgusting, despicable mentality to have. The truth of the matter is, Democrats could end their shutdown madness today if they would simply do their jobs. All they have to do is stop playing politics, pass our clean CR, and reopen the government for the people they were elected to serve. We're going to continue giving them opportunities to do the right and reasonable thing. The question is not whether they are able. The question is whether they are willing. I hope they come to their senses soon. But until then, we're going to hold them to account, and we expect everyone in this room to do the same. Lisa McClain.
Thank you, and thank you, Sam, for being here today, and thanks, Secretary Duffy, for being here as well to talk about the reality of the air traffic controllers and the American people. The American people deserve the truth. Republicans are out there serving the American people, while Democrats are using suffering of the American people as leverage. And let me say that again because I believe it is warranted. Republicans serve, Democrats use. And you don't have to take my word for it. I know you've heard it, but I need to say it again because I was on a news station this morning, and when they played Catherine Clark's comments, they're like, the question to me was, why are Republicans so upset about it? Like, that was the why are Republicans upset about it? Everybody should be upset about it. I mean, this is what she said. The second highest ranking Democrat in Congress. This is what she said yesterday. Congresswoman Clark admitted, and I quote, "Of course there will be families that are going to suffer, but it's one of the few leverage times we have." Let that sink in for one moment. They are admitting, she is admitting, yes, American families are going to suffer. But we got to use you as leverage. Let that thing sink in. Does that not outrage anybody? I'll tell you who it does outrage, the American families that are actually suffering. So let me share this with you. And what I need you to ask them is, what are they suffering for? So what are the Democrats using the American people's suffering for? What leverage are they using that for? Well, let me tell you. To push their $1.5 trillion in wasteful spending, to fund health care for illegals, the Democrats think it's right for the American people to suffer so that we can deliver Sesame Street to Iraq. Sesame Street in Iraq? Democrats, Catherine, she thinks that's all right to have the American people suffer for that. Someone connect those dots for me. I mean, seriously. I hope to God you are asking her why. Because the questions that I get is, why do you think that's bad? Are you kidding me? I mean, we have lost our minds. They've lost their minds. It's disgusting and it's insulting, right? They want to bankroll LGBTQ propaganda in South America on the backs of Americans suffering. Again, let that one sink in. And you know what? That does make me angry. It does make me angry, and it should make all of you angry too. Democrats are squeezing working families just to bankroll their pet projects. Good job of leveraging suffering on the American family. Meanwhile, Republicans are doing what we always do. We're rolling up our sleeves and we're doing the work. Let me give you some examples. Congressman Zach Nunn met with rural health care providers and first responders, right? Remember, the Democrats are the ones that want to repeal that $50 billion for rural health care, right? They talk out of both sides of the mouth. So concerned about health care, but let's repeal the $50 billion back. Okay. Congressman Bilirakis met with troops working without pay and veterans struggling to access services. Dozens of Republicans are back home cleaning up parks, volunteering at food banks, and helping struggling families. The contrast couldn't be more clear. Democrats see suffering as leverage. Republicans see it as a call to serve. So here's my message to Democrats. Stop holding the American people hostage. Stop being okay with Americans' families suffering. Stop playing games. Open up the government. Get back to work, and get back to work to serving the people who actually elected you to do your job. Thank you.
All right, a few questions. Manu, go ahead.
You said yesterday you were still trying to get the details of this $230 million the president has asked for the Justice Department to pay for his legal bills. Now that you've had some time, perhaps, to get the details, are you okay with taxpayers potentially being on the hook for that kind of money?
I'm not trying to dodge the question. I haven't had time to get the details. Okay, that's still on my list, things to do list. Yesterday was almost literally a 21-hour workday. Yes, sir. Back row. Well, let me answer the questions in reverse order. We did work with the White House to get air traffic controllers paid. It's called the Clean CR. We passed it in the House September 19th. By my count, it's 33 days ago. It's been... Yep. Yes, yes. They're trying to find... The White House has bent over backwards to mitigate the harms to the American people. We got WIC funded by bootstrapping a 1930s era statute regarding tariff revenue. He found unobligated funds in the R&D accounts at DOD to get the troops paid in the middle of October. But we're running out of resources. They're running out of creative ideas, and there is not an existing pot of money that could cover the air traffic controllers' salaries right now. And so that is why we have to get the government reopened. Again, every Republican has voted repeatedly to do that very thing, to pay everyone and make all this madness stop. And the Democrats have now voted 13 times to keep the government closed. With regard to your first question, there will be a measure on the Senate floor today that Leader Thune and the Republicans are desperately trying to make sure that all these people are covered. They want all essential workers and all these categories to actually get their paycheck, even if the Democrats keep the government shut down. We are told that the Democrats have vowed to vote no on that measure. So they will not vote today. That's what we understand to be the case. They will vote against restoring paychecks to troops, Border Patrol agents, air traffic controllers, TSA agents, and all the rest. And it's unconscionable to us, but again, it's another step in their political game as they're using all of these people, hardworking Americans and their families, as leverage for their political purposes to cover their own tails with the radical left. Chad.
If it's so important to pay the air traffic controllers, you said you want to see what happens to the Senate. Why wouldn't you commit right now and say, we're going to have the House back in session and we're going to vote? Because you know as well as I do, sometimes when one body moves something, it gives impetus to the other body.
Well, no, I don't know that. We just demonstrated it's not true, Chad. We passed the CR to get everybody paid. If I brought everybody back right now and we voted on a measure to do this, to pay essential workers, it would be spiked in the Senate. They're going to show you this afternoon that they would spike that bill. So it would be a waste of our time, and it would take the pressure off Chuck Schumer to get his job done and open the government again. This is what's so infuriating to us. Yes, sir.
You said yesterday that this needs to be assessed on a day-by-day basis. Now we're on day 23. Has the needle moved at all between the last 24 hours and what's it look like the next week or so?
Well, look, we do assess it day by day, hour by hour, because if you remember, the original CR was going to extend and allow 7 additional weeks for us to finish the appropriations process to November 21. Well, now they've eaten up, the month of October, and we're getting closer and closer to that deadline. And so it is something that we take into account. It's a day-by-day evaluation. I will tell you that appropriators are working right now, even though we're not on the House floor, and they're preparing the next batch of bills, and there's discussions going on at the leadership level and among appropriators across chambers and across the aisle, because they're serious people that understand we have to do serious work. And so we continue to evaluate it. But our plea today is to the Democrats. Please, 5 centrists in the Senate, do the right thing. You know what the right thing is. Play the tape. You can find a floor speech or media interview with every single Democrat in the Senate. Every single one of them have given impassioned speeches. We could come up here in lieu of a press conference and show you their own words where they say that this should never happen, that it would be harmful to the country and harmful to people, and now they're saying they don't care. They know better. They know in their hearts this is wrong, and we're asking them to stop it. Back row.
Speaker Johnson, Louisiana and a lot of other states have warned SNAP recipients they won't get benefits next month.
Yep.
Reportedly, some Republicans are considering a bill standalone on that. If they did pass it, would you be open to doing so here?
If the Senate passes the bill, then the House will address that. I talked to my Governor Jeff Landry in Louisiana, who greatly laments. We have lots of SNAP recipients in our state, as we do in many others. And you're talking about, I think it's 42 or 43 million Americans rely upon that vital service. And it's unconscionable that they would be held at bay and held as leverage on this. That's the pain that Chad Pergram asked Whip Clark yesterday, the pain that American families would suffer. And she said, yeah, it's regrettable, but hey, this is our time of leverage. We just let their own words speak for themselves. We're not for that. The Democrats are. I'll leave you with this thought. Republicans have now voted 13 times to open your government. The Democrats have voted 13 times to close it. The Democrats own the shutdown and all these horrible consequences, and you need to remind them of that. Thank you.
House Republican leaders there alongside Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, speaking to reporters as the federal government shutdown enters its 23rd day. We continue our live coverage from Capitol Hill now, taking you to a confirmation
Thank you very much. Thank you. Please. It's a great honor to have all my friends here. It's like old home week. What a job you're doing. And thank you very much for that. We want to begin by thanking the people that have done such a great job at the White House. They have been doing really incredible work during a shutdown. I don't even know if they're supposed to be working, but they wouldn't miss a day. So I just want to thank everybody for that very much. And we're here today to discuss a sweeping, unprecedented, and historically successful operation that my administration has carried out in recent weeks to arrest, prosecute, and permanently remove members of foreign drug cartels from American soil. And the people gathered around this table are the ones that are doing it, and in this room. Some of them sitting a little behind. Some of them, I'm surprised, are not actually at the table. You people should be very insulted by that. But you've done a great job back there. On my first day in office earlier this year, I signed an executive order to officially designate the drug cartels and savage transnational gangs as foreign terrorist organizations. It was my honor to do so. And on that same day, I also signed an order directing the creation of the Homeland Security Task Force to bring together all federal, state, and local partners to achieve the national policy goal of eliminating the cartel presence in America once and for all. And the results are, and it's early, and the results are spectacular. Led by ICE and the FBI, this task force includes the Department of Justice, the Department of War, DHS, the intelligence community, ATF, the DEA, the U.S. Marshals, and the state and local agencies in every part of our country. Other than that, we don't include too many people. That's a hell of a group, isn't it, huh? When you think of it, that's not a group you want against you. Certainly not at one time. In addition to the task force members, we're pleased to be joined by representatives of law enforcement at every level, the highest level, actually, but every level, including National President of the Fraternal Order of Police, Patrick Yos. Where's Patrick? Patrick, thank you, Patrick. Thank you for the endorsement, too. That really hit it off. I would have gotten 98% anyway, but it was still good to have your endorsement. Thank you, Patrick. I don't forget those things. President of the National Sheriff's Association, Chris West. Chris? Thank you, Chris, very much. Great, good job. Major Cities Chief Association Executive Director, Laura Cooper. Laura? Thank you, Laura, very much. Major County Sheriffs of America Executive Director, Megan Noland. Megan, thank you. Thank you very much. And President of the National Border Patrol Council, my friend, and a very good speaker, by the way. Whenever he gets up and speaks, I say, that guy can really speak. I don't know. I don't want him to run for office. I want him to stay where he is. Paul Perez. Paul? Thank you, Paul. Where is Paul? Hi, Paul. What are you doing over there, Paul? Good job. Good speaker you are, though, Paul. I mean it, too. You've made some incredible speeches, and all from the heart, too, right? Some great ones. Today, you'll hear details from my national security and homeland security teams about the extraordinary historic achievements of this new Homeland Security Task Force since it became fully operational last month in all 50 states. The job they're doing. What we inherited from this past administration is like disgraceful. In a matter of weeks, the task force has made the largest number of arrests of cartel leaders, operatives, and gang members in American history, more than 3,000 and counting. That includes members of the ultra-violent New Generation Cartel, the Sinaloa Cartel, the LNFM Cartel, MS-13 Cartel, and you know MS-13, the gang, and Tren de Aragua, another beauty. That's a group of real garbage we have to deal with, that we shouldn't have to deal with. These are, in addition to the massive numbers of dangerous criminals my administration arrested nationwide since January 20th, numbering over 120,000. It's a record, and 120,000 criminal arrests. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, for 4 long years before I took office, the last administration allowed the cartels and their operatives to frankly take over our country, to freely infiltrate America and all the communities nationwide, along with Transnational gangs, these groups have unleashed more bloodshed and killing on American soil than all other terrorist groups combined. These are the worst of the worst. It should now be clear to the entire world that the cartels are the ISIS of the Western Hemisphere, in addition to their monstrous violence, such as cutting off heads, burning their enemies alive, and burning innocent people alive, too, by the way. The cartels control large swaths of territory. They maintain vast arsenals of weapons and soldiers, and they use extortion, murder, kidnapping to exercise political and economic control. Thank you very much, Joe Biden, for allowing that to happen. Biden surrendered he just surrendered our country to the cartels. Don't worry, it gets better. We're taking it back. It's really fast at levels that nobody's ever seen before. But what we had to put up with, what we inherited, was just a disgrace. And while Biden was president, if he was president, I think the auto pen was president, not Biden, nearly 100% of those who infiltrated our southern border did so because they were personally approved. They admitted they were just what happened, assisted by the most dangerous and violent criminal organizations anywhere on the planet. The worst people on the planet they allowed into our beautiful country. Under the Trump administration, we're finally treating the cartels as the core national security threat that they really are. The cartels are waging war on America, and just as I promised in the campaign, we're waging war on them like they've never seen before. All you have to do is turn on your television and you'll see what's happening to them. Past administrations have tried to mitigate this threat, and our objective is to eliminate it. We're not mitigating, we're eliminating. We're getting them out. The bad ones we're putting in prison. We hate to do that because that means we're stuck with them for 50 years or more. In recent weeks, our Homeland Security Task Force has seized more than 70 tons of deadly narcotics, along with more than 1,000 illegal guns. And that's just recently. This is already the most successful anti-cartel and anti-gang operation in American history, and it's just getting started. We have incredible people. A lot of them are in this room with us today, and it's an honor to have them. But we're going to not stop until the threat has been fully and completely eradicated. I want to thank task force members with us today, including a person who's doing a fantastic job, Attorney General Pam Bondi. Thank you, Pam. Thank you. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. Sounds so much better than Secretary of Defense. I don't know. Do you guys agree with that? I don't know. It sounds, we won the First World War, the Second World War. I always say everything before and everything in between. And then we got woke and we said, well, let's call it defense. I think we like it this way better. It's funny. That's something I thought it would be maybe controversial. And it's only controversial that we changed the name in the first place. It's not controversial at all. It's been unbelievably well accepted, Pete. Hasn't it, right? It's been pretty amazing. I thought it would be controversial. People want to have our country back. People want to do exactly what we're doing right now, and we're getting a lot of credit for it, and we should. I want to thank, though, Pete. You're doing a great job, Pete Hegseth. Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem. Kristi, thank you very much. Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi, good job. And the heads of all of the law enforcement agencies all throughout the room. You're really amazing, the job you've done. To provide additional details on our mission, I would like also to ask General Bondi to say a few words, followed by Secretary Noem, Secretary Hegseth, Director Gabbard, Homeland Security Advisor Stephen Miller. Stephen, you're such a superstar, Stephen. They called Stephen the other day a very bad name, and I said, you should sue them, Stephen. I think he will. I hope he does. FBI Director Kash Patel and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. And I just want to say it's an honor, the job we're doing, and these people are doing absolutely incredible. I'll just add a couple of things. In Memphis, as you know, where the numbers are down in half already, and it's only been about 2 weeks. Doing a fantastic job there. Thank you. Incredible. Nobody thought it was possible. It was really it was a very sick city. It was horrible what happened there. People would go from, if you're on the board of FedEx, they would ride you 1 block to the hotel. They said you couldn't walk it because it was too dangerous. and they're already feeling better about it. But the best example right now is Washington, D.C. We went from one of the most unsafe places in the planet, I hate to say, but in this country, to a totally safe city. It's nothing's crime-free, I guess, but this is about as close to crime-free as you're going to get. And you guys have done an incredible job with that. Every one of you have worked so hard on this one, and it's our nation's capital. And people would go to the nation, they'd go from, I always say, Iowa, Indiana. They'd go from Florida, they'd come up, they want to see the monument. I want to see the Lincoln Memorial. I want to see one of the monuments, any one of them, and they'd go home in a coffin. But not anymore. It's not happening anymore. We haven't had that happen in a long time. It was averaging more than one a week, one person a week. Who would think that's possible? And it hasn't happened anymore. And we have a safe city. We have a city where the restaurants are booming. People are going out. Nobody's being mugged, hit over the head with a baseball bat. None of the stuff is gone. We took out 1,700 criminals, many of them career criminals, many of them given to us by Joe Biden and his ridiculous open borders policy. They came in from jails from all over the world, not just South America, from all over the world. Jails, they came in from mental institutions and insane asylums all over the world, drug dealers, and we got them the hell out of here. They're either that, or if they're so bad, as I said before, we put them in jail because we can't take a chance that they come back. But I want to just say that Washington, D.C. is such an example of what could be done. And now the same thing's happening in Memphis. We're just halfway through the process, and already the numbers are far superior, far better than what we would have thought at this time. And Chicago, I just saw the number. Last week, it was last weekend, 4 were murdered, 11 were shot. And then I have this guy Pritzker, is a very weak governor. Let me be nice. I'm going to be very nice. He's extremely weak. He's pathetic. I have Pritzker get up and say how great they're doing in Chicago. They're doing very poorly. So 4 were murdered, 11 were shot. I would say, and that was not a bad week for him. Okay, that was not a bad week. He's had somewhere 18 or 19 were murdered. And you know what his excuse was? Yeah, but that was a long weekend. Okay, can you believe it? He said that was a long weekend. He's bad. And the mayor is worse. I mean, that mayor is worse. Low IQ, very low IQ. And we don't need low IQ people. We need people that are going to take care. And I love Chicago, and I love those beautiful women, black women, beautiful women wearing MAGA hats. And they're all over the place in Chicago. They want protection. They don't care if it's the National Guard, if it's the Army, Navy, Coast Guard, Marines. They'll take Space Force, okay? Space Force, send them in. They just don't want to be mugged, killed, raped, shot in the head, and we stop it. So we're going to be given a very special, we're going to give Chicago very special care. As you probably know, maybe you heard, we were going to do a big surge in San Francisco, but I got a great call from some incredible people, some friends of mine, very successful people. Mark, who's, everybody knows him, and Jensen, everybody knows Jensen, NVIDIA, and others called me from San Francisco. And they said, we're working really, really hard with the mayor, and we're making progress. Would it be possible for you to hold off the surge? And I had 4 or 5 calls, and I think they're making progress of their own. That would be the greatest. I mean, if they could do that, that'd be great. And they have great competence in those people. I mean, incredible competence, some of the smartest business leaders. And they're working very well with the police department. They're doing a good job. So we are holding off that surge, everybody, and we're going to let them see if they can do it. I said, I think we can do it much faster. I know we can do it faster. I think we can do it better than anybody. We can take criminals out that they're not going to know about, and probably they don't have the legal authority maybe to do what we can. But I'm okay with it, and we're going to let San Francisco, has the potential to be, it was a great, great city, has the potential very quickly to be a great city again. And these are the companies that are there that are all working, and those are the people that asked me, could you do away with the surge, and let's see how it works. And we'll do that. If we need to, we'll do it. But it's possible that we won't need to, and we will be focusing on other places like Chicago, and we'll have Chicago taken care of very quickly. But just remember, 11 people shot, 4 people murdered, okay? And that was this weekend, and that was Chicago. And then you'll see Pritzker get up and talk about, well, we have it under control. They don't have it under control. Just the opposite, it's getting worse. So we'll take care of, as soon as we give the go-ahead, which is all I have to do is give the go-ahead. We won the big court case the other day on the National Guard. That was a good case. Same thing with Portland, speaking of that, because that's where we won it. But, I mean, I looked the other night, Saturday night, Portland is like burning to the ground, and these people are saying it's just friendly stuff. The whole place is burning to the ground. So we'll take care of that one. That's like an insurrection more than it is anything else. That's crazy. Portland's crazy. And then you listen to these radical left people talking about it's really okay. You're seeing things. You're really seeing things. So we're going to take care of Chicago. We're going to take care of Portland. We're going to take care of Memphis. We're proud of D.C. There's nothing to take care of anymore, but we're not going to let it ever go bad. It's never going to happen again, our nation's capital. And with that, I'm just going to tell you that Pam Bondi has done a fantastic job. And Pam, would you say a few words, please?
Thank you, President Trump, and thank you for your leadership. And this is all about collaboration. And around this table, I'm looking around this table, we all work so well together. I don't think another administration in our nation's history has worked so well together. We talk constantly, Secretary Noem, Tulsi, Pete, constantly, but also all of our agencies working hand in hand, and that's why this is so successful. And these people around this table are working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, even though the Democrats have tried to shut down the government. Terry Cole, I'm laughing because you're around the clock, you're all over the world. Director Patel, you're unstoppable what you're doing around this country. Gowdy Serralto, U.S. Marshal, Rob Sakata and Dan Driscoll wearing your ATF hats. Rob, I was on the texting, Todd Blanche and I were on texting you at 1 a.m. on cases. I mean, that's how committed all of these people are to just keeping all of our citizens safe. And that's what it's all about. And this project is the brainchild of Stephen Miller. And you are doing so much to keep our citizens safe, our kids safe, and get these drugs off our streets. Like the mayor of San Francisco and I are going to be meeting on fentanyl in a few weeks and working hand in hand on that. Secretary Noem spoke to him. But the results of this last month have been historic. As the president said, in the last month, think about this, 3,200, more than 3,200 violent gangs and drug dealers have been taken off the streets. Off the streets. Now, Director Patel and all of these agencies have also been working so hard on getting the leadership. But we are getting all the gang members off the streets and the drug dealers, Sinaloa, CJNG, MS-13, and more, TDA. 91 tons of drugs have been seized as a result of this task force. We tried to put this in perspective for you. This would be filling 4 18-wheelers. 4. All the drugs just in the last month that have been taken off the streets. 58,000 kilos of cocaine. Think about a big backyard swimming pool. That would fill 1.5 swimming pools. Just the powder cocaine that has been removed, saving lives this last month, thanks to all of these people around the table. 2,300 kilos of fentanyl powder and 2.1 million fentanyl pills off the streets. And as the president said, more than 1,000 illegal guns. The Biden administration was, for way too long, all of these great law enforcement officers surrounding the table were not able to do their jobs. What they've said is now they've been uncuffed. They can do their jobs now. We've been watching transnational gangs grow in our country, become organized, set up infrastructure in all of our states, but no longer under President Trump. We are destroying the infrastructure, and we're no longer on defense. All of these great men and women are on offense, so they better get ready. We're dismantling the cartels, and we are taking the leaders into custody and all of the gangs. We are going to supercharge this work. This is not a pilot program. This is permanent. We are here to stay. And Secretary Hegseth, we couldn't do this without you and the Department of War. Thank you all so much for everything you're doing around this table, working tirelessly. And President Trump, thank you for giving them the ability to do it.
Thank you, Pat, very much. Thank you.
Mr. President, since the year 2000, we have lost in America to overdoses, to these cartels that have proliferated that kind of a disease on our people and have gone to war with our next generation of Americans. When you signed the executive order that was protecting the American people from invasion, what you did is that you took these cartels and gangs that we've known for decades and you declared them to be what they really are. And you didn't say you declared war on them, and you didn't say we were just going to destroy them. And everybody around this table is so honored to be here to work with you to destroy these terrorists that have been killing Americans for years and getting rich off of it. I'm so proud of the work that was done just in the September surge. You referenced that earlier. We had over 400 operations that went down in those first 43 days of the Homeland Security Task Force in operations that brought, as Pam referenced, 3,200 terrorists to justice, got them off the streets. Sir, we also have had over precursors and chemicals that were brought in. We've had the work at the southern border. We've got Border Patrol here at the table with you. Fentanyl has been cut down by 50% coming into this country over our borders. We've continued to work not just nationally, but internationally and on our maritime borders as well. The ICE agents that have so much violence against them and threats against them, sir, they get up every day ready to work with this task force to be able to keep people safe. And then we've got Coast Guard, who's been doing just a ton of our incredible interdictions out on the seas and the waters in cooperation with operations that you've targeted in the Caribbean with the Department of War. And sir, I just want to thank you for the leadership you put at this table, for your cabinet members, for Stephen Miller, for putting this in place to make sure that what you did when you consolidated the Homeland Security Task Force, you took 1,000 other task forces that were already established in the federal government and you streamlined them into this room, into this group right here, so that we can look at each other in the face every day and say, what's our problem? How do we address it? How do we fix it? And then we go to work together with our arms linked to do exactly what you told us to do. And that's not just protect the American people from invasion, but to kill these terrorists. You gave us the task to eliminate them, destroy them, so that they can't destroy the next generation of Americans. So thank you, sir. Thank you for the people you put around this table.
Thank you very much. That's a great job. Thank you. Pete?
Yes, sir. Well, thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership. Chief, likewise, Tulsi and Todd and Dan and Pam and Christy and Stephen and Cash. I mean, I could go around the table. From the Department of War, we are thankful and grateful for the incredible effort that your agencies put in. And we could not be more proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with you, not superficially, not kind of over here, but front and center on the Homeland Security Task Force, right there with you. Because our department has spent over 2 decades defending other homelands, and we're very proud to be defending our own. And if you talk to the troops down, say, on the southwest border, Mr. President, morale is sky high and continues to be, because they're proud to be defending their own communities, their own state, and their own country. So when that executive order was signed, the mission was clear: protecting the American people against invasion. And so the Department of War went straight to the southwest border. We still have 10,000 troops there. We have national defense areas. We're standing alongside the Border Patrol, and we've locked that border down, 100% control of the southwest border. You stop the invasion. And then we're proud to be going on the offense, counter-cartel operations. And it's not counter-cartel, as was mentioned. These are designated terrorist organizations, foreign terrorist organizations. Our generation spent the better part of 2 decades hunting Al-Qaeda, hunting ISIS. Well, as the president said, this is the ISIS, this is the Al-Qaeda of the Western Hemisphere. They intimidate, they terrorize, they extort, they poison the American people. The president's right. Every boat we strike is 25,000 Americans whose lives are saved because of the drugs that were headed in our direction. So our message to these foreign terrorist organizations is we will treat you like we have treated Al-Qaeda. We will find you, we will map your networks, we will hunt you down, and we will kill you. And you've seen that evidence in the maritime domain, whether it's in the Caribbean or in the Pacific with the last 2 strikes. We know exactly who these people are. We know what networks they work with, what foreign terrorist organizations they're a part of. We know where they're going, where they originated from, what they're carrying. And they know we know. And that will soon start to change the calculus of these boats. So the critique of this is, of course, as often is the case, wrong. We know our authorities. It's locked tight. And we're going to treat them like foreign terrorist organizations on the offense. So the Department of War is not going to degrade or just simply arrest. We're going to defeat and destroy these terrorist organizations to defend the homeland on behalf of the American people, making the jobs of law enforcement safer in the process, making the communities of Americans safer in the process. We think it's a very core mission of the Department of War, and we're proud to be here, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Pete. Thank you. Tulsi, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. The key reason that you are hearing about these incredible effects is, number one, the team that you've assembled here and the leadership and the tone that you have set, first and foremost, about keeping the American people safe. The intelligence community plays a critical role in being able to support our law enforcement at the federal, state, and local level to make sure that they're armed with actionable intelligence to be able to actually go after those who threaten the safety and security of the American people. Mr. President, under your leadership, for the first time, there is a newly created National Intelligence Fusion Cell at the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, National Counterterrorism, that has a very simple purpose: to make sure that we have two-way intelligence sharing of actionable information between the intelligence community and law enforcement. I want to talk briefly about three successes that we've had just here in the last few weeks, Mr. President, through the success of this interagency fusion cell. Just this last week, our National Counterterrorism Center supported, through actionable intelligence to both U.S. law enforcement as well as Mexican law enforcement, the arrest of a Sinaloa cartel boss, El Plato, in Juarez, Mexico, as well as his top 3 money launderers. In a separate and recent successful interagency operation, NCTC worked closely with the U.S. Marshals Service that led to the arrest of another dangerous Sinaloa cartel member responsible for tracking a huge amounts of cocaine and hundreds of thousands of dollars in this single incident with drug proceeds through his network. And I'll say the last example I'll share is probably the most insidious, was providing intelligence to the Mexican law enforcement that led to the arrest of a CJNG cartel-affiliated baby trafficker called La Diabla. Her whole money-making operation was centered around luring pregnant women, performing illegal C-sections, harvesting organs, and selling newborn babies. Mr. President, it's your leadership that has made all of this possible. I can tell you, in the midst of this government shutdown, our folks, like everyone around this table, are working 24/7 without pay and eager to get after this because they believe in your leadership and the mission that you have presented to them. Thank you, Mr. President. I'll hand this off to Homeland Security Advisor Stephen Miller, the leader of this task force.
Let me just say, Mr. President, that this country was going to die without you. This country was going to actually die without you. That's what we were facing in 2024. We've been invaded for 4 years. Our communities were sinking. Our public safety had gone to zero. Cartels were running entire communities. Sex trafficking, child trafficking, labor trafficking was out of control. Overdoses were out of control. The cartels were claiming more and more territory. City services were buckling. This was a country on the verge of dying, and you alone saved it. And when you stepped forward originally in 2016, you started the movement to make America great again, and that means make America great again in every way, and that means safety and prosperity and peace and freedom from cartels and crime and gangs. And your vision and your leadership in declaring war on the drug cartels is the single most successful public safety initiative in American history. And I need the media to understand what President Trump has done. People have been talking about drug cartels for longer than I've been alive. And everyone has just taken for granted that they can't be touched or stopped. They're too big, they're too powerful, they're too evil, they're too murderous. They can operate with impunity. And in just 9 months, President Trump is the only American leader, not just in our lifetimes, but ever, to actually take the fight to the drug cartels, to actually seek their eradication. And it is happening. And so while the Democrats are shutting the government down and fighting for free health care for illegal aliens, look at what President Trump has assembled here. He's assembled a team under his vision, direction, and leadership that is saving hundreds of thousands of lives, hundreds of thousands of lives. And only President Trump could have done this. And I will say one last thing, which is that his courage has been an inspiration to everyone else in this room. There are people in this room, looking at, for example, at Todd Lyons, who have been relentlessly doxxed and harassed and threatened. But when they see President Trump's courage, what he's been through for 10 years to save America, when they came after his family, his businesses, his safety, his freedom, everyone at this table knows we can give whatever it takes to get the mission done. So President Trump, thank you for your leadership, your boldness, your courage, and your vision. We're honored to serve underneath you.
Well, I want to thank you, Stephen. And I have to say that, I've been making the rounds. I'm leaving tomorrow for some very big meetings, including with the president of China, where I think we're going to come out very well, and everyone's going to be very happy. But everybody said the same thing. A year ago, we had a dead country. We were a dead country. We really were, in a lot of ways, not just this. We were dead as doornails on this, but we were a country that was in serious trouble and beyond that. And we have the hottest country anywhere in the world right now. The whole world is talking about it. We have the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're going to clear up this crime in our cities. We can do it quickly, too. They showed how quickly we could do it in D.C. It was a real bad place. It was a real mess. Dirty, filthy, disgusting, graffiti all over the place, tents on every ounce of parks that we had. Just disgusting. And I rode around last weekend. I rode around the city. I felt very safe in that car, but, I would have done it without it. I wouldn't need that car so much anymore, I will tell you. But the place was clean. We've started that also, not only law and order, but the cleanliness is important. I think cleanliness is almost a part of law and order. If you see dirty, disgusting streets and potholes all over the place and railings falling down and graffiti all over the marble, beautiful statuary marble columns, those gorgeous columns where they had graffiti, it's all gone. And I think it's a part of it. I really do. I think it's a big part of it. But we have a city that we can be proud of. We're going to be that way with every city we have. That's why with San Francisco, I wish them luck, but we could do it so much faster. I told the mayor, I love what you're doing. I respect it, and I respect the people that are doing it. They're the biggest people in the country. They're the biggest people in the world. A lot of the high tech. Some people like them, some people don't, but they're smart, and they want to do it. And I said, I am so honored to let you do it. And if it doesn't work out, we'll do it for you very quickly. But I just want to thank the people around this table are amazing. Cash, please go ahead.
Mr. President, I'll just keep it short, but I think what the media should realize is the amount of courage it takes to do this. And you led that mission. You led it during your campaign, and you brought it to the American people. I think the media should focus on some of these numbers the Attorney General just riled off. Those aren't numbers, those are lives. Lives saved by the millions, enough enough fentanyl to kill over 200 million Americans, gone, evaporated off our streets permanently. Your vision to safeguard American freedoms and our children and our future is the most courageous thing I've ever seen a president of the United States ever do. And your ability to marshal it out in 8 months, these statistics would have taken other administrations decades. And the partnership that you see around the table, I just want to, sum it up with the following. When I call these folks around the table, when I call our state and local law enforcement partners who have been absolutely critical to this mission, when Stephen Miller called me and said, we're going to create the Homeland Security Task Force and the FBI and DHS are going to co-lead it, I said, absolutely. The country's been yearning for this and needing it. And the one thing I see different than any other administration is when I call these people, they pick up. I don't get a voicemail. When I make an ask, they answer, and the same is true. And so the FBI is playing a pivotal role in your administration in helping lead out this mission, and Stephen's vision has finally come to life. And instead of attacking the people at this table, maybe the media should go out there and talk to the lives that have been saved forever and the communities that have been safeguarded, because it takes courage to do that. It takes courage to implement that plan, and it takes a president and President Trump to put a leadership team like this together. We are actual friends, and I know the media doesn't want to call us that, but we do that. We do hang out. We do work together. It's a 24/7, 365 mission that doesn't turn off, Mr. President. And as Stephen said, we're inspired by your leadership, and this country's thankful for these 8 months, and I can't wait to see what the next 4 years looks like.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Cash. Great job. Todd, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. The number that I think matters, over 3,266 terrorists have been taken off the streets in 2 months. And for each of those arrests, there's anywhere from between 4 to 20 law enforcement agents, federal, state, and local, executing those arrests. And that means every one of them are putting their lives on the line to make these arrests, to make our communities safer. And so what I will say to them is thank you, but also what I will say to them is that to the extent that there are politicians, as recently as today, suggesting they are doing something wrong. We have governors, district attorneys, mayors, and even congresswomen suggesting that our federal law enforcement and the state and local law enforcement that are helping them are doing something wrong. That is disgusting and something that we will not tolerate. That every day Attorney General Bondi and I talk with all of our partners, making sure that they know that if any one of our federal agents, our state or local agents working under the HSTF banner are even touched by any of these terrorists or rioters, they will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. When politicians aid these terrorists by trying to give them comfort or protection or suggesting that somehow our men and women are doing the wrong thing, same problem. We will not tolerate it, Mr. President. So thank you to all of our state and local men and women that are helping us, and our federal law enforcement officers that are literally putting their lives on the line every single day. We will always protect you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Todd. A really good job you're doing, too. Thank you. Any questions maybe pertaining?
Mr. President.
How about pertaining to this for a little while? And whoa. Would you have any questions of these incredible people?
Mr. President. Mr. President.
Yeah, go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. President, thank you. Good to see you. If I could just ask both of you, including Secretary Hegseth, there's reporting the U.S. just sent B-1 bombers near Venezuela to ramp up some military pressure there. Is that accurate, and can you tell us more about that mission?
No, it's not accurate. No, it's false. But we're not happy with Venezuela for a lot of reasons, drugs being one of them, but also they've been sending their prisoners into our country for years under the Biden administration. Not anymore. We have a closed border. We had actually nobody for the last 4 months, I guess 5 months. They say they report nothing. They report zero. I don't know if that can be possible, but we'll accept it, right, fellas? But we have closed borders. We have people coming into our country, but they only come in legally. We have the strongest borders we've ever had. We might have the strongest borders of almost any nation right now. And that's a big difference from what it was 2 years ago when everybody was pouring in. But we're very unhappy with Venezuela because of what they've done. They've emptied their prisons into our country. Nobody can do that. Only a stupid person would have accepted it. And that's what we had running our country, very stupid people. So we're not happy with Venezuela, I will tell you. Yeah.
Mr. President.
Mr.
President. Thank you, President Trump.
Yeah, you okay?
Yes. On fentanyl.
We're going to lose
Sorry
it.
about that. On fentanyl,
we have
President
some good medical help right over there. That's all right.
On fentanyl, according to CDC data, nearly 330,000 Americans died over the past 5 years from fentanyl. That's 1 in every 1,000 Americans who died.
It's more than that, but that's all right.
Yes,
it's
I
more.
know you think it's even more.
I'll be discussing that with President Xi.
Yes, so that's actually my question.
I figured it was.
I was wondering, since it mostly comes from China and has caused such carnage in the U.S.,
Yeah.
what are you going to say to convey the seriousness? And also a second question for you or Secretary Hegseth. Is there any evidence that China is now smuggling fentanyl through Venezuela to bypass U.S. and Mexican port controls?
They are doing that, yes. But they are paying right now a 20% tariff because of fentanyl. That's billions and billions of dollars that they're paying. We're actually, on November 1st, the tariff on China goes to 157%, which is record-setting territory. And we don't want that because it's not sustainable for them. They can't sustain that. We don't want them to have to go through that. So I'm meeting with President Xi, and I would say we have some big issues, like with the farmers and various other things. But the first question I'm going to be asking him about is fentanyl. And if you think about it, they make $100 million. Think of this. They make $100 million selling fentanyl into our country, $100 million. they lose $100 billion with the 20% tariff. So it's not a good business proposition. It's $100 billion approximately that they have to pay. That's a big penalty to make $100 million. So I think they want to do something. They want to put it on the list. It's on the list. It's one of the things we're talking about, and I'm putting it right at the front of the list. So they pay a very big penalty for doing that, and I don't think they want to be doing it. And we'll see what happens at the end of next week, because I'll be meeting next week, as you know, along with we're stopping in Malaysia, we're stopping in South Korea, we're stopping in Japan. I'm meeting with President Xi actually in South Korea. So it'll be the first thing on the list. Yeah, please.
Yes, Mr. President, on the drug boats, sir, has there been any discussion about capturing one so that you can show the amount of narcotics?
We know everything about them. Yeah, Jennifer. We know everything about them. We know where they're coming from, who they're coming with, generally who's in the boat. I'll let Pete discuss it a little bit, but they have incredible intelligence. And, you know, usually when you see 5 engines, I've never even seen that before, but when you see 5 engines on a boat going about 65 miles an hour, loaded up with white powder in silver cases, generally speaking, that's not a good sign. They're not going fishing, right? And you don't see any fishing rods, right? So, Pete, I'll let you discuss that a little bit, please.
Well, yes, sir. Likewise, generally you don't see fishing in submarines either, sir. So the U.S. military, as I mentioned, nobody better in the world at mapping networks, identifying who's connected to who inside terrorist organizations. It's just the media is used to hearing that when it pertains to Afghanistan and Iraq and ISIS and Al-Qaeda. But if you reframe how you understand the world in our own hemisphere, that's exactly what these foreign terrorist organizations are. And so we will track them, we will map them, we will network them, and we will hunt them and kill them because they're trying to and they are killing and poisoning the American people. And inside that, we have all the license necessary, all the authorities necessary to take these kinetic strikes, and we'll continue to take them.
And we've been, you know, just to add, because I think it's important, we've been capturing them for years. You know, it's not like, gee, let's capture one. We've been doing that for years. For 25 years, we've been doing it. Not at a level like we're doing it now. I mean, just with the hits we're hitting, but we have much more intensity than any administration's ever had. But we've been capturing these boats for years, and they get back into the system, and they do it again and again and again, and they don't fear that. They have no fear. The thing I can tell you right now, it's very hard to find any floating vessel right now on the Pacific or in the Gulf, and I would like to call it by its official name, the Gulf of America, another little triumph of the Trump administration. I said for years, I said, why do we call it the Gulf of Mexico? It's 93%, the shoreline is 93% ours. So I never understood that, so I made that change. I never realized how easy that was going to be, other than, I guess, AP fought us in court, and the judge said, but that's the name. And actually, they were sort of it's been so, and our sea drugs, as they call them, they use the term sea drugs, the drugs coming in by sea, are like 5% of what they were a year ago, less than 5%. So now they're coming in by land, and even the land is concerned, because I told them that's going to be next. You know, the land is going to be next. And we may go to the Senate, we may go to the, you know, Congress and tell them about it. But I can't imagine they'd have any problem with it. I think, in fact, while we're here, I think it's a good idea, Pete. You go to Congress, you tell them about it. What are they going to do? Say, gee, we don't want to stop drugs pouring in? They're killing 300,000 people a year. I think that's the real number, 300,000 people a year. So between that and my discussion with President Xi, I think we have never made progress like we've made. The sea drugs are almost dead, and they can't come in that fast from the land. And the land drugs are much more dangerous for them. It's going to be much more dangerous. You'll be seeing that soon. So that's the way it is. Yeah. Go ahead, please. Yeah, go ahead, please. With the glasses, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Good.
I wanted to ask, what's your reaction to Representative Dan Goldman calling on NYPD to arrest ICE agents who he says are acting illegally? He says they are illegally assaulting people and illegally detaining people at immigration courts in New York.
Well, you know, I know Dan, and Dan's a loser. You understand. He's a guy that doesn't have what it takes. He's been trying so hard, and they're exhausted. I mean, it's so ridiculous, right? A suggestion like that. So, you know, they're just trying so hard, and it's not working. They've even now started imitating me, of all people. They want to imitate me, and they start using foul language, but they use too much of it. You know, you can't use the F word 7 times in one sentence. It doesn't work. It might work once every 7 news conferences, but you can't do it. You can't do it 7 times in one sentence. So I don't know. They're really they're in big trouble. That party. Go ahead.
Mr. President. Some alleged smugglers have survived some of these recent strikes and been sent back to their home country. If they're terrorists, why not just arrest and detain them?
Go ahead.
2 points on that. First, when I served in Iraq in 2005 and 2006, we used to, in sort of a gallows humor way, talk about the Iraqi catch and release program, the reality that we would catch a lot of people, hand them over, and then they would be recycled back through, and we'd have to recapture them or attack them again. And that's why changing the dynamic and actually taking kinetic strikes on these boats ought change the psychology of these foreign terrorist organizations. To those 2 that survived the shot on the semi-submersible, think again, compared to Iraq and Afghanistan, the vast majority of people that we captured on the battlefield, we handed over to the home country. Did we always like how it shaped out? Sometimes we did, sometimes we did not. But 99% would go to the Afghan authorities or the Iraqi authorities. So in this case, those 2, they were treated by American medics and handed immediately over to their countries where they came from, hopefully to face prosecution, which is a very standard way of handling something like this.
And you'll do that with future survivors, anyone else who survived?
We've got protocol of how we'll handle it.
Not that guy. He's so hopeless. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yesterday, there was a vote at the Knesset on annexing the West Bank. Do you see it as a challenge to your peace efforts?
Could you say that louder, please?
Yes, yesterday there was a vote at the Knesset in Israel on annexing the West Bank. Do you see it as a challenge to your peace efforts?
Will you answer that, please? Because I cannot understand the words you're saying. Where are you from? Where are you from? You're from France. Beautiful accent, but we can't understand what you're saying. Huh?
She said a vote at the Knesset on the West Bank.
The West Bank is, don't worry about the West Bank. Israel's not going to do anything with the West Bank, okay? Don't worry about it. Is that your question? They're not going to do anything with the West Bank. Don't worry about it. Israel's doing very well. They're not going to do anything with it. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Thank you, President Trump. Are there any safeguards in place to protect Americans from fentanyl and cartels when you leave office in 2028? Any protocols that could be put in place in case a future administration comes in that wants open borders? And I also have a question for the Secretary of War as well after your answer.
Well, the
if that's
biggest
okay.
thing we can do is make sure they don't come in, because open borders, they would destroy. It's amazing that our country is even surviving with what we went through, coming in by the millions and coming in from the wrong places. You know, I know all these people that run these countries, and they're smart. They're very street smart, and they're not sending their best, you know. They're not sending, they're taking them out of their prisons and their mental institutions, as I say over and over again. They're the drug dealers. They're the drug addicts. They're people that don't work. I mean, the best of them are people that don't work. They don't work. They're on welfare, their form of welfare, which is tiny. You know what their form of welfare? They give you a piece of paper. They give you nothing. But they want people that work. They don't let those people come out because they want those people. You know, they cherish those people. Those are the people that make their country run. They give us all of the people that don't work and are murderers. 11,843 murderers came in. 11,800, many of them committed, more than 50% committed more than one murder. Now, why do we want them? Why would Biden and that group of thugs that he had working for him, why would they accept these people? Why would he accept? Nobody understands it. You know, they say maybe they wanted the vote, but I did great with the Hispanic vote, but these are people from all over the world. Why would they do it? So one question, no matter what I do, I can't, you always like to know the opponent. you have an opponent. What are they getting at? And usually you can. Why would they allow 20 million, maybe 25 million people into this country, almost all of which, but most of which should not have been allowed into our country? It's one of the great enigmas. What they've done to this country should never be forgotten. In history, should never, ever be forgotten. And now it looks like we're going to have a communist mayor in New York. That'll be a lot of fun. But remember this, they have to go through the White House. Yeah, please, go ahead.
The founder of Binance. Can you explain why you chose to pardon him, and did it have anything to do with his involvement in your
Which one? Who is that?
The founder of Binance. He has a involvement in your own family's crypto
one,
business.
yes. I believe we're talking about the same person because I do pardon a lot of people. I don't know. He was recommended by a lot of people. A lot of people say that. Are you talking about the crypto person? Yes. A lot of people say that he wasn't guilty of anything. He served 4 months in jail, and they say that he was not guilty of anything. That what he did. Well, you don't know much about crypto. You know nothing about. You know nothing about nothing. You're fake news. But let me just tell you that he was somebody that, as I was told, I don't know him. I don't believe I've ever met him. But I've been told by a lot of support. He had a lot of support. And they said that what he did is not even a crime. It wasn't a crime. That he was persecuted by the Biden administration. And so I gave him a pardon at the request of a lot of very good people. Yeah, please. Yes, Daniel.
President, thank you so much.
This is the kind of question I like.
Yeah,
right here.
the numbers from this task force are jaw-dropping. I wanted to know, this is a question for you and both Stephen, since it was said this is your brainchild. What are the lessons to be learned from the success of the task force, and what are your continued goals with this task force now that you have about 3 years left?
Well, I could go going around this tab. I could go over every one of these men, and we have unbelievable talent. They've got the naturals, you know, like somebody that hits a baseball or a golf ball or a, you know, that you see more. It's more evident. It's beautiful because it's sports. You can tell somebody right away, are they good or are they not? These people are the most talented people at what they do. And when we started talking about this, Stephen and all of us, it seems so easy. What is surprising to me is how quickly we can straighten out a large city, a big city, a mean city, a city that's sick, that got very sick with guns all over the place, with bullets shooting all over, where you take your life in your hands if you go out and buy a loaf of bread. That's not America. That's not our country. And those people don't care how you do it. They just want it done. They really do. You know, when you go to the people in the street, they don't know. Is it National Guard? They just want it done. They want to be safe. And we've gained a great following of Americans, real Americans, people that want to be safe. But I think the biggest thing we say is we have tremendous talent. We were able to recognize, like a football team, like a baseball team, we were able to recognize the talent. And the talent is largely in this room for the whole country. It's largely in this room. There's really nothing like it. And that's why I think we had D.C. done, not perfectly, but pretty much done, at least normalized in 12 days. When you say would you say 12 days? On the 12th day, it felt different. And you know, we took a lot of bad people out, never to come back again. Then most of them never to come back again. But there's great talent, and there's also great courage. I've been watching what goes on, and then you have the radical left lunatics, and what's that all about? I mean, they're fighting us because we want to stop crime. Where do these people come from? They're paid money. I guess they're paid a lot of money, but like I saw that ridiculous march the other day, I say, these people are not representative of our country. And not all of them, of course, but many of them are total lowlifes. These are lowlifes. These are people that are paid agitators, and they're not representative of our country. So I don't know. I can just tell you that our country has tremendous spirit right now. You know that better than anybody because you cover it well. but we have a lot of people that are very happy right now with the direction. They did a poll the other day. The direction of our country is better than it's been in 37 years. And I'm upset because I think it should be better than that. I actually said we should be better than that. So, you know, thank you very much for your question. Brian? Brian?
Mr. President, yes. Thank you, Mr. President. You guys have done an amazing job in Memphis. Some of those numbers are staggering, and we've gotten message on social media wanting to thank you for that. But I think, can you talk about the number of missing children you guys have discovered in Memphis? That's amazing.
Well, it's hundreds of thousands were lost through Biden and the Biden administration, and we are getting a lot of them back, but they're either dead, they're slaves, they're captured in some form. But think of it, hundreds of thousands we're talking about, not even believable. And they came in through the border, they were sold, they were bargained for, and this was all Biden, meaning Biden and Obama, the same, you know, the same mentality, frankly. I think it's the same mentality. Let me tell you, Barack Hussein Obama was a lousy president. A lot of bad things happened. Remember when they used to talk about Trump with the jail cells? Well, he built the jail cells for the children. He built those jail cells. Remember that came out? But, sir, they were built in 2014. You remember when that came out? After me going through that stuff for about 2 weeks, and then they found out it was Barack Obama that built those jail cells. No, these people they were bad leaders. I hope we don't have it again. I hope we don't have it again because, you know, our country's come back a long way, but it can only withstand so much, and we don't want to ever go through that again. We never want to have open borders again. We don't want to have men playing in women's sports. We don't want to have transgender for everybody. We don't want that. We want to have a great country with low interest rates, nice housing, great education, a strong military, the basics. Yes, please.
In last night's New York City mayoral debate, Zohran Mamdani said he would close Rikers Island if elected. What kind of impact would that have on public safety?
Well, it's not good. I guess it's not a very nice place, but you need it. I mean, you need something. You have a lot of additional people in New York City that should not have been here. They came here through the open border, through Biden's. You know, I don't know how they even do it. New York City's always been tight for money. And then they spend, you know, $8 billion, and nobody complains about it, on people that just showed up and they just came out of nowhere. Where did they get the money? All of a sudden they have money. I tell you what, we have to keep our prisons very fair and very safe, but you get a lot of criminals. We have a lot of additional criminals. I used to talk about it. They used to say, well, only good people come in from foreign countries. I said, that's not right. I didn't know that for a fact, but it had just started, right? The open borders and people flowing in by the millions. They make our criminals look like the nicest people on earth. That's the only good thing. They make our criminals look like nice people. They are the meanest, the most vicious. Tren de Aragua, you don't get any sicker. They cut people's fingers off because they called the cop. Did you call the cop? Yes. They cut off his finger so he can't call the cop anymore. And then they say, next time we're going to cut off your hand if you cut, because they took over his apartment in Colorado. You know, Colorado, they took over a town, then they took over another town, and you have a weak governor over there. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing, so he lets it go on. But we're getting them out of here. We're getting them all out. They're going back to lots of, not just Venezuela, they're going back to lots of countries. Venezuela would be one, however. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah.
A moment ago, you said that if Secretary Hegseth went to Congress and briefed them on the operations
No, we
against
will
these,
go, I said.
You will go. And
We
it would
will
be
go.
difficult for them to object.
I don't see any Lawson going. No reason not to. You know, they'll always complain, oh, we should have gone. So we're going to definitely, I'd like to just tell you, let's go. We'll go. We're going to tell them what we're going to do, and I think they're going to probably like it, except for the radical left lunatics.
And Mr. President, if you are declaring war against these cartels and Congress is likely to approve of that process, why not just ask for a declaration of war?
Well, I don't think we're going to necessarily ask for a declaration of war. I think we're just going to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country. Okay? We're going to kill them. You know, they're going to be like dead. Okay? Yeah. Yes, red hair.
Thank you.
Beautiful red hair.
Thank you. I'll tell my hairdresser that. She'll love it. This is a question for both you and the Secretary of War, Mr. Hegseth.
Who are you with?
I'm with the Center Square. We're a newswire service. With everything that's going on between the narco-terrorists in the Caribbean, and then also with more Chinese, Iranian, Russian ships also taking part in Venezuela. Are you have any plans of expanding operations out of Roosevelt Roads, and in fact, placing home porting some ships there?
Yeah, go ahead, Pete.
We're familiar with the location that you're referring to, and we'll make sure that we're properly displaced in order to deal with the contingency we're dealing with there, and also any ways in which other countries would attempt to be involved also. So we can walk and chew gum. We're definitely keeping our eyes on near-peer adversaries at the same time, but we think sending a message on these cartels, these narco-terrorists, is an important inside our hemisphere, which for far too long, other presidents, as the president pointed out, they've ignored our own backyard and allowed other countries to increase their influence here, which only threatens the American people. We're changing that.
One big thing that has happened, though, because you mentioned expansion and expand our efforts. So when I was running for office, second term, everybody was talking about the fact that nobody wanted to join the military, nobody wanted to join the great police force. They didn't want to join New York's finest or any of our police forces. They didn't want to join anything having to do almost like with the country, with the uniform. We are setting records with the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Space Force, Coast Guard. We're setting records. We've never had anything like it. And I'll tell you when it started, November 5th. We didn't even have to wait till January 20th. They saw spirit. And now we have people coming in that it's unbelievable. And if we wanted to increase our military force, if we wanted to increase any one of these, including police forces, they can now get men. People didn't want to be policemen and women. They didn't want to be firemen and women. They didn't want to go into the military. We were having tremendous recruiting problems, and now we're setting records. We literally, last year at this time, you were doing stories that the recruitment was a disaster. We couldn't get men and women to go into the military. Now we have such an overabundance. We've never had, it's, as I understand it, it's like record-setting recruitment. This is in less than a year. It's been amazing. So this is a good time to expand if we want to do it, and I think we should. And we probably will. Yeah, please. Yeah. Blue.
A couple questions for you. First for you and Secretary Hegseth. Is the administration supportive of sending National Guardsmen to cities for the express purpose of aiding deportation and immigration enforcement efforts?
To expand deportation efforts?
Sending National Guardsmen to U.S. cities for the express purpose of aiding deportation and immigration enforcement efforts.
What we've done so far is stand alongside federal law enforcement in every way, facilities and personnel, but also we have a great deal of lift inside the military. We're able to move assets in a way that no other aspect of the U.S. government can. And so where we can rapidly assist with mass deportations, we have been happy to do that.
And then one more question, if I may. Is the administration at all supportive of potential measures to crack down or regulate or even ban apps that track ICE agents' locations?
What do you mean by that?
Like specific apps that are used to track the location of ICE agents?
I guess we'll do that. I'm not a big app guy. I'm not into that too much. I think Pam might be it. Let's go.
Yes.
Give me a good answer there.
Yes. These organizations, President Trump, are coming in and their apps to track our federal law enforcement officers, and it jeopardizes their lives, where they're going to be, their location. And we've actually been working really well with the tech companies who have been cooperating because they don't want our law enforcement officers to get injured. So yes.
Well, I mean, I see it with ICE, where they're having, where they define where they live, who they are. And, I didn't have a big view on the mask, but I now understand why they should wear masks. I think it's very dangerous for them not to wear masks. They can do whatever they want. I notice some do it and some don't, but it's pretty dangerous. But when you look at, you talk about that question, I think it's very dangerous, and I think you're coming down on that very hard, right?
We are.
Yeah, please.
No, sir. Mr. President.
Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. When you were running for re-election in 2024, you released a video statement where you made this exact promise to show no mercy on the cartels and employ every military asset necessary to combat them. In that same video, you also said that you plan to expose all the bribes and corruptions with politicians and the cartels.
We're doing that.
Has
Yeah,
your
we're
task
trying to
force
do
been
that.
looking into that in American politicians?
Yeah, where the money's coming from. Because you see it. Like even that garbage deal they had this weekend, which was embarrassing to them, and the crowds were much more, the crowds were not big. Those crowds were not big at all. But when you look at signs, and they're all made beautifully, the yellow signs, I saw the yellows, the blues, but they're all made professionally in a printing shop, looks like on Madison Avenue someplace. Some guy is paying for all that stuff. And we don't mind protest. Protest is a good thing. I protest. I'm always protesting, right? But when you see some of these people are going crazy. They're going crazy because they're getting paid. Because there's no reason for them to be going crazy. But you watch some of them, and they're professional agitators, and we are finding out who's paying them. Yeah, we have a lot of information about who they are. You're going to be very surprised when you find out.
And then I have a question for Secretary Hegseth. Sir, a memo circulating on social media details the establishment of a National Guard response force that's going to be trained in crowd control and civil unrest and deployed in all 50 states by April of 2026. Can you verify the authenticity of that memo, and do you have any more information on the operations?
I'm not going to answer particulars on something that may be in the planning process, but we definitely do have multiple layers of National Guard response forces, whether it's in each state, whether it's regionally, whether it's Title 10 active duty, whether it's Washington, D.C. We've got a lot of different ways that constitutionally and legally we can employ Title 10 and Title 32 forces, and we will do so when necessary.
Thank you. President Putin basically said today that Russia is immune from U.S. sanctions. He said that it would not impact the Russian economy in any serious way. Is he
Good.
wrong?
I'm glad he feels that way. That's good. I'll let you know about it in 6 months from now. Okay. Let's see how it all works out. Yeah. Go ahead, please, Blue.
One about the shutdown. I'm Taylor Poplars with Spectrum News. The same day you established this task force back on January 20th was the same day you pardoned the January 6th defendants.
Yeah, very proud of that. Yeah.
Just last weekend, one of them was charged with allegedly threatening to kill House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. And a big theme of this task force has been allowing law enforcement to do their job and holding accountable people who go after law enforcement. Do you worry that your actions back on day one undermine what this task force is trying to accomplish?
No, you have thousands of people that we're dealing with, and you know, if one goes haywire, look at what this guy in Virginia said, where he wanted to kill his opponent. He's going to kill his opponent. He's going to kill his opponent's children and I think wife, and he continues to run. And the Democrats continue. He's running for what, Attorney General in Virginia. Look what he said. So now, do you think all Democrats should be prohibited from living anymore? I mean, think of what he said. He's going to kill his opponent, and he's going to kill the children of his opponent, and I think the wife. I said, this guy's sick. That is a sick guy. And how do you vote for somebody like that? But I don't view that every Democrat would say that, because not every Democrat would say that. So you can't, you know, you could have one person, but I don't know of the incident. I can say we're very proud of what we did. We had the courage to do something that should have been done. The problem, sometimes the Republicans are too nice. They're a very nice party. The Democrats play a much dirtier fight. You know, it's amazing. You go after dirty cops like Comey, and you go after, these are dirty cops. Letitia James is a dirty cop. You go after these people, and they say how horrible you are, and yet I got indicted 5 times and impeached twice. Nobody says anything about that. You know, they say, oh, they actually said the other day, oh, he's trying to indict somebody. I got indicted 4 or 5 times, Todd, maybe more than that. Yeah, I think you could say 87 times if you really think about it, right? With the charges, a bunch of phony guys, but nobody says anything about that. But they mentioned it the other way. No, the Democrats play a very dirty game. It's all they're good at. They're good at a couple of things: cheating on elections and playing very dirty. And they have one good trait: they stick together. They stick together. They stick together through the worst policies that anybody's ever seen. It's unbelievable how they stick together. And I respect them for sticking together, but it's a dead party because their policies are no good. Okay. Brian, we'll do a few more and we'll go home.
Wonderful.
Everybody's going to go home. I'm going back to the Oval Office, however.
Speaking of Democrats, there's a report that there's a grand jury on Adam Schiff for apparent mortgage fraud. If he is indicted, should he step down as a U.S. Senator?
Well, I'm not going to comment on that. I would just say Adam Schiff is one of the lowest forms of scum I've ever dealt with in politics. He's a horrible human being, very dishonest person. I have no idea what's going on. You tell me that he's going to be indicted. I don't know. You could ask Pam. I don't know if she could say it. Probably you are allowed to say it, but I wouldn't know about that. I can only tell you he's a very bad. I think he's actually a sick person. Do you want to talk about that?
We're not going to comment on any grand jury that's open. We can't legally.
I don't know. By the way, I hope it's true, but I don't know anything about it. Yeah, please. Oh, millions of dollars, yeah. Well, I also give, I give a lot of money to the White House. The White House is, as you know, I give my salary, and I usually like to steer to the White House because this house was a little bit abandoned. First of all, for 4 years, you had a guy walking around that didn't know where the hell he was. And this house was not taken care of the way it was supposed to be. I take very good care of property. I was very good at that. And you'll notice the floors downstairs, I paid for them. Marble, the most beautiful marble you've ever seen. The white floors down in the palm room, which they look like they came out of, I don't want to lose because they're big supporters of mine, Home Depot, so I'm not going to say bad, but they did come out of a box from Home Depot about 30 years ago. They were all broken, but now they have the most beautiful floors, the most beautiful lights and chandeliers. I think most of you, Brian, you've seen that, right? Yes. How beautiful is that? And I take care of it. So I spend millions of dollars on this building, taking care of it. It was not properly maintained. And now it's starting to gleam like it should. It should really gleam. And you should go down and visit the Presidential Walk of Fame. Have you seen it? It's quite good. I'm sure that a lot of people coming to the White House, it's hot. It's very hot. But it's really a tribute to the presidents, past presidents of our country. Yeah, please.
Mr. President.
Yeah, behind you, please. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
So on Monday, a question for you as well as Secretary Noem. On Monday, Mayor Karen Bass of LA and Representative Robert Garcia, they held a press conference and they called for an investigation into DHS, accusing them of unlawfully arresting U.S. citizens and racially profiling and only arresting people because, in Robert Garcia's words, they look like me. He's a Hispanic individual. Do you have a response to that?
Are you asking me that question?
You as well as Secretary Noem.
They are arresting bad criminals, and they're really good at it, too. I look at the numbers, they always like to say that, oh, you're arresting this and that. Then when you check it, you find out, geez, almost every single time, and, obviously every once in a while they may get one wrong, but they always correct it. They're able to correct it. But they are arresting really bad people. They're arresting people that kill, people that would cut your throat and not even care about it. These are brave people, and it's very dangerous. And if they go even a little bit too far, they get into trouble, which is a shame. I protect them, but they get into trouble. But they're arresting very serious criminals, and they're getting them out of here. Okay, one or two more. Doug, do you have a question? I'd love to have Doug have a question, our great photographer, because he's such a great guy, and he might be the most talented person over there. I don't know. Go ahead. Let's hear your question. This guy's a real beauty.
On the cartel strategy, hearing you talk about it as a war, hearing Secretary Hegseth talk about defeating and destroying and the comparisons to ISIS and Al-Qaeda, those efforts took American troops being engaged in foreign countries. Do you think that's ultimately where this is headed with the cartels, having American troops in countries like Venezuela?
No, the cartels are very bad. They had a lot of bad people coming in. They were interviewed recently, and they were asking people what their problem was, and one guy said, yes, I'm up for murder. didn't know what he was saying, obviously. You know, I'm sure his lawyer was not thrilled with his statement, but no, they're rough people coming into those cartels. Those cartels are rough. You look at what happens, the trip up is horrible, especially for women. They're being killed, they're being raped at levels that nobody thought even possible. In my opening speech, I mentioned that, but in a very light way. I mentioned the word rape. Then I found out that you take a look at what happens in those cartels. It's horrible what's going on. And we're doing the world a big service by just telling them, you know, you don't have too many cartels now because they know when they get up here, they're going to be stopped. Under Biden, they were just flowing into the country. It didn't matter what you were, where you came from, what you looked like, what your record. They didn't check records. Millions of people came into this country that should not be in our country right now. We've gotten a lot of them out. It's the single biggest problem that we were given. Inflation, I've already taken care of. Economically, the country is the strongest it's ever been. Thank God for tariffs. If we didn't have tariffs, we'd be a third world nation. But thank God for tariffs. We're the richest nation in the world now because of tariffs. And we're able to economically protect ourselves, and we're able to really protect ourselves from a national security, situation. But we have cartels that, somebody came up with the word cartel. I won't tell you who that person was, but you got a lot of bad people in the cartels. And you could look at a country like Mexico, and I really respect the president. I really respect a lot of the people over there, but a lot of the leadership. But they are in fear in their own country because those cartels are running those countries, okay? And that includes Colombia. Colombia is a drug den. It's a drug den, and it has been for a long time. You got a lousy leader over there right now, bad guy, a thug. But they make cocaine at levels that we've never seen before, and they sell it back into this, and they're not going to get away with it much longer. We're not going to put up with it much longer. Colombia is very bad. Mexico is run by the cartels. I have great respect for the president, a woman that I think is a tremendous woman. She's a very brave woman. But Mexico is run by the cartels, and we have to defend ourselves from that. Go ahead. Let's go with you. Go ahead. Let's listen to this beauty.
Shutdown by the time you return from your trip to Asia?
Do I expect to have it resolved by the time I return? I don't know. I said long ago we shouldn't have been in this problem. This was September 28th. It came due in Biden's regime, and before the election, September 28th, and they pushed it off into the future. And I was running when they did that. And when you're running, but I did say, what the hell are they doing? That and debt ceiling. They also pushed the debt ceiling past the election date, so that would mean the next president has it. But I did say that I think the Democrats have gone totally crazy, and you don't know what they're going to do because they don't care about the people. They don't. I really think they have no leadership. They have a lot of very low IQ people. Jasmine Crockett is a low IQ person. A lot of them are. I don't want to insult too many of them, but a lot of them are. They have no rudder. I don't think they know what they're doing right now. They've never done this before. They always agreed to go and, called an extension. Let's do an extension and talk. Even today, look at what happened today. They don't want to pay the people that have worked. And, this was supposed to be this was a test. And they wouldn't pay the people that have been working. They said, no, we don't want to pay them. This is all the Democrats. Now, all we need is 5 Democrats. And I know a lot of Democrats that are saying they're more than 5. Probably not that many more than 5, but they're more than 5. And all we need is like 5 Democrat votes so we open our country again. Sad, though, we have the greatest economy in our history. We have the highest stock market. All these things are rocking. We will have, by the end of my first year, more than $20 trillion of investment. The all-time record is $3 trillion. I think it's China. We're going to have $20 or $21 trillion. We've never had anything like it coming in because of tariffs. The money pouring into our country, the plants that are opening, AI, automobiles, everything. And the Democrats want to close our country. They're really, they say deranged. They suffer. I guess it's Trump derangement syndrome, which I think is going down now as an official condition by the doctors. I think they get paid extra money if they handle it, because it's more difficult to handle than a normal mental disease. But you know what? They really should approve an extension, get the country back to work, get the people paid, and it's very simple. You just don't know what's going on. There's something wrong with them. Yeah, it's sad, actually.
Have you raised the full $300 million needed to fund your ballroom? And how much specifically are you donating to this construction
Raised,
project?
I think $350 million. All donor money and money that we put up. We've raised. It's going to be. It's going to cost right in the neighborhood of $300 million. It's been expanded and made absolutely. It'll be the most beautiful ballroom anywhere in the world, I think.
And how much specifically are you donating to it personally?
How much am I donating? I won't be able to tell you until I finish, but I'll donate whatever's needed, I'll tell you that. Do I have a name for these? I won't get into that now. Yeah, go ahead, please.
In the next couple of days, a lot of Americans are going to go without their first full paychecks, federal workers.
By the way, a friend of mine, talking about donors, a friend of mine, a man that's great, I'm not going to use his name unless he lets me do it. Susie can tell you about this, but he called us the other day and he said, I'd like to contribute any shortfall you have because of the Democrat shutdown. I'd like to personally contribute any shortfall you have with the military, because I love the military and I love the country, and any shortfall, if there's a shortfall, I'll contribute it. And today he sent us a check for $130 million. I would love to tell you he doesn't really want the recognition, if you want to know the truth, but he gave us a check for $130 million, which was sort of a shortfall, yeah. And that's going to go to the military, yeah.
And what's your message?
Is that the correct number? $130 million. That's what I call a patriot. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Another day in town.